All right, welcome to the show, y'all. Hope everybody out there is having a great day. Prepare yourselves because all hell has broken loose yet again in the Middle East, and this war is spiraling out of control. So in just a second, Trump bombs an Iranian nuclear site. Also, we have U.S. soldiers now being killed. The death toll is rising. They're also hiding the number of injuries. So a lot of stuff has happened over the past few days. We also have an INFERNO ripping through a U.S. base, and that is caught on video. So I'll show you all this stuff. In a little bit, we'll also show how Trump was mass booed at the World Cup. We have Andrew Tate is completely and utterly fucked as he's now arrested with, Jesus, I don't even know, 20-some-odd charges, 30-some-odd charges. I mean, he's facing a litany of charges, and it looks like he's barbecue chicken. The UK wants him, and the US Marshals arrested him the other day. So we'll talk about that. We also have Tim Dillon savagely berating J.D. Vance's lies, which he told to Joe Rogan's face. And we have Hunter Biden breaking his silence and revealing what he thinks his dad's biggest failure is. So we have all that and more. You guys know the deal, man. Everybody subscribe to the channel and click that bell icon. That helps out big time and costs you nothing. You can also support the show on Patreon. That link is below. You can also sign up for Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack. That link is below as well. And go subscribe to Corin's World. We should be back live tonight. So come hang out with us live tonight, y'all. You do not want to miss it. All right, let's go ahead and jump in. So let me start with this. The U.S. base in Kuwait is on fire after Iranian strikes, reports of more explosions in Bahrain. So this is just one example, a little taste of what's been happening all weekend. Virtually every U.S. base in the Middle East getting burnt to a crisp and getting absolutely lit up by the IRGC. So here's one example. Look at the damage in the distance here. Look at this. So we have massive strikes hitting U.S. bases. It looks like they're not only using drones, it looks like they're also using ballistic missiles. How about this one? Most insane footage to come out from the other night. Iranian missiles slamming U.S. soldiers at the Muwafaq al-Salti air base in Jordan. Take a look at this. This is an insane video of right when the impact happens. Jesus Christ. That's a massive explosion. One more time. Look at that. That's not a drone, y'all. This one is not a drone. This one is definitely not a drone. Okay, U.S. airstrikes are now being reported in nearly every major Iranian province adjacent to the Strait of Hormuz and Arabian Gulf. Retaliatory Iranian strikes are expected to be in the near term, and they were exactly that. Now, the other disturbing thing is, if they're attacking all up and down the coast by the Strait of Hormuz, again, it looks like, to a layman's eye, they're prepping for something bigger. Other evidence of that would be the fact that they've been sending in these planes, these military planes nonstop to the Middle East. There's a lot of troop movement that's been happening in the Middle East, a lot of plane movement that's been happening in the Middle East. And I just get the sense this is not the end. Like, these massive bombing raids are not the end of something. They're the beginning of something, and it's probably something horrific. They're probably planning something really big and really stupid that's going to backfire immediately. Okay. Watch, U.S. C-RAM air defense systems are intercepting Iranian drones over Erbil in northern Iraq tonight. This video is also crazy. Take a look at this one. Here we go. I mean, that's crazy. That is absolutely insane. All right, Iran's Foreign Minister Araghchi came out and said there were extensive discussions over whether we should resume negotiations with the U.S. In the end, it was decided that we would enter negotiations primarily to establish proof that we had exhausted diplomatic options so that later no one could say, if only you had negotiated, there would have been no war. So, in other words, this is a top official in the IRGC saying, we know we can't trust Israel. We know we can't trust the U.S. We know there's a 0% chance they uphold their end of the bargain, their end of the deal. But we needed to make it proof beyond a reasonable doubt so that nobody in Iran could look at us and say, oh, you should have negotiated. You should have done something differently. In other words, we gave peace a chance. We gave the MOU a chance, knowing it would fail, so that then we'd be totally justified in what comes next. And by the way, Iran is prepared for all-out war. And they're basically daring the U.S. and daring Israel. Like, okay, you want to go down this path? Well, we're more than ready for it. All right, look at this. Iran's supreme leader, Mujtaba Khamenei, says the following. The Great Satan's repeated violations of the Memorandum of Understanding signed between the President of Iran and the United States once again proved to everyone how worthless and unreliable the signature of the U.S. President is, and that bullying, hegemonic ambitions, and savagery are inseparable elements of the American way and doctrine. The Great Satan has once again revealed its true face without a mask, so that this dark experience of crime and bad faith will stand as yet another powerful testament to America's deceitfulness, irrationality, untrustworthiness, and wickedness. Now that the American enemy is seeking to ignite war and incur even heavier costs and greater disgrace, it should know that the beloved Iranian nation and the axis of resistance have unforgettable lessons in store for it. The bravery of the fighters of Islam and the courage of the people of Iran's southern region in recent days have already demonstrated examples of those lessons. Now, does that sound like somebody who's interested in a resolution to this at this moment? Or does that sound like somebody who's been double-crossed multiple times and who's now completely and utterly fed up and ready for this thing to get even more violent? That's bars in here. All right, more. Here we go. Iran's Artesh says it struck 2 key U.S. military sites in Kuwait. Iran's regular military, the Artesh, says it launched a large wave of one-way attack drones against 2 key U.S. military sites in Kuwait in the 16th phase of Operation Saqqa. The Artesh says it targeted a U.S. ammunition depot at Camp Arifjan, as well as Patriot and air defense radar systems at Ali al-Salem Air Base. It describes Camp Arifjan as a major U.S. logistics and force reorganization hub, Ali al-Salem as a key airlift center and gateway for U.S. military forces entering West Asia. There was no immediate U.S. confirmation of damage or casualties. Okay, more. We have additional not only deaths but also injuries, and they're lying about it, and I'm going to get to some of the specifics on that in just a second. Okay. Robert Pape, who's an expert on this stuff, says the following. Iran escalating threats of extreme retaliation, launching back-to-back strikes on a vital Kuwait desalination plant, threatening 90% of the nation's drinking water. Is water the new warfare? And then he goes on to say, read his Substack, The Escalation Trap. Quote, Iran has adapted to U.S. defenses, firing missiles that travel at extremely high speeds and can maneuver as they streak toward the Earth, according to U.S. officials familiar with the attacks. So in other words, according to the Wall Street Journal here, yet again, Iran is more prepared and a more worthy enemy than anybody in the U.S. military thought, okay? They've outperformed every single step of the way. And remember, they've been planning for this for literal decades. They were planning for this as Donald Trump was sneaking into the dressing room of teenage girls as they were changing for Miss Teen USA. So they've been prepared for this. They've been ready for this. And every single time I read an update on this, they happen to say, oh, they're actually way more prepared than anybody thought at any step ever. And the U.S. is being caught flat-footed. And so now, let's also not forget, they're getting more weaponry and more support and more intelligence from China than the U.S. had realized. And so perhaps they're like increasing their military capability as time goes on. Now, this is happening at the same time, by the way, that the U.S. is running out of interceptors, is running low on ammunition, is not prepared for the next phase of this thing. And it looks like Iran is doing great. In fact, we discussed this the other day, but Iran has, like, at the very least, 70% of their munitions still intact. So, I mean, this war has been going on for an extended period of time already, seemingly daily fighting, despite the MOU, and they're still sitting there with the majority of what they need. It's absolutely insane, bro, and I think it's only going to get worse as time goes by because China's prepared to help Iran, and the U.S. is floundering and has no idea what to do. Okay, more. Here we go. U.S. strikes Iranian nuclear power plant site. The IAEA is investigated. The United States struck the construction site of the Darkovin nuclear power plant in Iran's southwestern Khuzestan province around 3:39 a.m. Sunday, Iran's Atomic Energy Organization said, calling it an attack on a civilian facility under international safeguards. The IAEA said it is examining data on the reported strike. The facility in the very early stages of construction and contained no nuclear material when last visited by the IAEA, the agency said, adding it does not believe the attack poses a radiological risk. Director General Rafael Grossi renewed his call for military restraint near all nuclear sites. Iran's atomic agency called on Grossi to move beyond silence and inaction and condemn the strike, citing IAEA resolutions declaring attacks on peaceful nuclear facilities contrary to international law. Construction on the plant on the Karun River, about 45 miles south of Avaz, began in 2022. This is not the U.S. attacking an Iranian nuclear facility that's in the midst of building a nuclear weapon. This is the U.S. attacking an Iranian facility that is purely for civilian use. Civilian use. And so this is not good. This is very, very bad. This is disturbing. And this is yet another example of another U.S. war crime that barely gets mentioned. Okay, U.S. strikes in Hormuzgan province killed up to 8 people and maimed a toddler. They maimed a toddler. Iranian MP claims U.S. bridge attacks hit 2 family cars, killing 6 people. He adds that after a strike hit Bandar Abbas residential area, 1 woman was killed and a 1-year-old child suffered an amputation. And here's what this bridge looks like. Take a look at this here. Look at this. And I want to reiterate yet again that bombing bridges like this is a complete war crime. It's a war crime. This is specifically to go after civilians, terrorize civilians, and it's basically an admission that the U.S. has been defeated when it comes to targeting, military equipment and targeting the military as such. They're clearly incapable of doing that because if they knew where all those sites were, they would be attacking those sites. But it turns out that Iran was so prepared for this war that basically all of their military equipment is underground. Okay, it's underground, it's protected. The U.S. doesn't know where it is. This is why we haven't been able to, for example, take out a lot of the hubs of the weaponry that's used to go after ships in the Strait of Hormuz. Like, if we knew where that was, we could bomb that, and then Iran can't threaten the Strait of Hormuz anymore. But they're so good at hiding it, and they're so good at putting it underground and away from intelligence being able to detect it, that as a result, the U.S. throws its hands up in the air and goes, I guess let's attack some schools. I guess let's attack some hospitals. Let's attack some bridges. Let's attack some nuclear plants. And this is the action not just of barbaric savages and criminals, but it's also the action of somebody who's desperate. Okay, that's what it is. All right, let me give you some more here. Huge fiery blast erupts as Iranian missiles rain down on Jordan U.S. base. 2 U.S. troops killed in this attack. Again, more on that in a second, but look at this. Ooh. Oh, Jesus. All right, one more time, look. Oh. Oh. Oh, my word. 40,000-foot quake wrecks least quake-prone Iran oil hub amid Pentagon strikes. 3rd monster earthquake under U.S. bombs. Okay, that's bizarre. That always makes me raise an eyebrow and go, well, what weapons exactly are they using that's leading to this reaction? Okay, Hormuz letter says, breaking. Iran is actively planning and seriously considering a ground incursion into Kuwait to seize U.S. military bases, including Camp Buring, Camp Arifjan, and Ali al-Salem Air Base, and then take 100 U.S. soldiers hostage before quickly transferring them to Iran. If the U.S. continues its military campaign against Iran, per prominent Iranian analyst Mahdi Khanalzadeh and former Iranian Foreign Minister Mottaki. Khanalzadeh adds, the city that should be evacuated is not Tehran, it is Doha, Manama, Abu Dhabi, and Kuwait, warning a flood of American blood will flow in the region, with Kuwait being considered one of Iran's principal options for the ground incursion. He says no political border will be safe, and that Iran would shift to a full-scale offensive if U.S. strikes continue. Khanalzadeh also warns joining the U.S. in a ground invasion is tantamount to a declaration of war upon Iran, with the Iranian land force prepared to punish any state that participates. So in other words, it sounds like Iran thinks a U.S. ground invasion is coming, and other Gulf Arab countries will be used in the process, potentially even troops from these other countries will be used, or maybe the Kurds will be involved, or, it'll be launched from Iraq, or it'll be launched from elsewhere, but others will be involved. And so Iran is warning, look, if you do that, all bets are off, and we're going to go to town on you. And that's why they say Iran is actively planning and considering a ground incursion into Kuwait to seize U.S. military bases. Like I said, guys, I wish that what we're seeing now is the end of this thing, but I get the sense it's just the beginning. I get the sense the forever war is here, and that this massive bombing raid, this 7-8 day bombing raid where they bomb for 7 hours straight that the U.S. has been doing, that is a harbinger of things to come. And if anything, they're just clearing the path for a potential ground invasion or to try to take Karg Island or any of the other oil-important islands. They have something big and stupid planned. I have no doubt about it. And so Iran is saying, look, we have tricks up our sleeve too, and if you want this thing to get ugly, this thing can get ugly. Breaking footage shows the moment Iran struck the Al Subia Kuwaiti power station and water desalination plant today, with a fire breaking out in the facility and severe damage caused to multiple electricity generation units. This is the second day an Iranian strike hit Kuwaiti power and water desalination plant. So again, videos like this, man, this is just absolutely chilling because people don't understand how we're on the brink of global catastrophe with stuff like this happening. Okay, take a look. Here we go.
محول الكهرباء يا لطيف محول الكهرباء اللي بس حريق لطيف يا الله.
You need to understand that Iran has the capability to take out virtually all of the water that's used for the Gulf Arab states, which would render them basically uninhabitable overnight. The fact that they haven't taken out all of the water capacity for these Gulf Arab countries is literally just a testament to their restraint. Because their schools have been bombed, their hospitals have been bombed, their power plants, their bridges, the entire coast by the Strait of Hormuz, everything and anything has been bombed in Iran by the axis of Epstein, and they've only done little tit-for-tat attacks in certain areas. So the fact that this happened, this is a big deal. And look, some of this stuff is a bit of a warning because it's not like they're, one-shotting all of the oil. It's like they're bombing around it or in the complex that houses the desalination facility, right? Like, it's basically like, hey, bitch, you better watch out and you better back the fuck off because if you don't, this is going to happen at some point, right? And unfortunately, we're dealing with a baboon regime here in the U.S., so Trump thinks, I'm just going to escalate more, and maybe that'll mean I win. Well, no, it doesn't mean you win, because at the end of the day, they still control the Strait of Hormuz, which means they have the last word. They have the last say. They can destroy the global economy at a whim, okay? So it doesn't matter how violent you get, how much you go after innocent people. At the end of the day, they still hold all the cards, okay? So, but this is terrifying. This is absolutely terrifying, and we're seeing an escalation that the experts have been warning us about, and there appears to be zero off-ramp, especially now, since the U.S. has yet again proven you can't trust us, you can't make a deal with us. Israel's the exact same thing. So what incentive do they have? What motivation do they have to do anything but defend themselves in the most forthright way possible, and in a way that actually extracts a toll and a price from the enemy? Okay, so here we go. Desalination plants now being hit, power stations now being hit. Okay, look at this. A former U.S. Air Force pilot close to the U.S. Central Command says that at least 3 to 5 more soldiers on medical evacuation planes will probably not survive. There are also 15 other soldiers with serious life-threatening injuries whose fate remains unclear. As of right now, they've admitted, that's a big deal, they've admitted to 2 people killed. Again, I'll show you more on them in a second. 15 with life-threatening severe injuries that were airlifted to Germany, 3 to 5 on board the medevac who will probably not make it to Germany alive, dozens of minor injuries, and troops who took shrapnel and debris. More traumatic brain injuries than anyone currently knows. So understand, they are lying about the full extent of this thing, okay? Look at this. The names of the 2 U.S. troops killed in the Iranian ballistic missile strike on Jordan have been released. First, Lieutenant Tyler James Feehan, 25 years old, Iwa Beach, Hawaii. And then Private Isabella Gonzalez, 19 years old, in Carrollton, Texas. In Carrollton, Texas. So here's Tyler, 25 years old. Here's Isabella, 19 years old. 19. As these kids, because that's what they are, as these kids were dying in the Middle East in a stupid war that should have never been started in the first place, Donald Trump was fundraising at one of his golf courses and then desperately trying to get into the winning picture at the World Cup. Okay? As he was going around like a motherfucking Make-A-Wish kid, desperately trying to get money and adoration heaped on him, these kids were dying in an illegal war of aggression that he started for no fucking reason because he's such a dumbass that he got duped by modern-day Hitler, Benjamin Netanyahu, into doing his fucking dirty work for him. What a sick, pathetic joke this is. By the way, let me say this as clearly as possible. Tyler and Isabella, who are now dead, 25-year-old and 19-year-old, who are now dead, it was not Iran that killed them. It's Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu that killed them. They may as well have held the gun directly to their head and pulled the trigger. Because they 100% would be alive if we didn't have insane, warmongering, bloodthirsty, idiotic psychopaths running this country and running Israel. They 100% would be alive. If Kamala Harris was president, they would not be dead. They 100% would be alive. What a sick, disgusting, pathetic joke this is that we're talking about here. Okay. Pentagon withheld dozens of U.S. military injuries in Iran, according to the New York Times. What a surprise. Hey, guys, here's a question. What the fuck else are they hiding from us? What the fuck else are they hiding from us? You tell me, y'all. You tell me. Okay. Breaking. Trump has ordered U.S. CENTCOM to open the gates of hell upon Iran after U.S. casualties in Jordan. U.S. officials tell NPR. Another U.S. official tells CBS News tonight's U.S. attacks will be much more extensive and larger than previous nights. An early lid has just been issued at the White House. So that's great. The exact opposite of what he should do is what he's doing. We violate the MOU. We throw the first punch. They respond. Then he goes, oh yeah, well now I'm going to go even harder against you. No, you dumb fat bitch, you pedophile prick. Cut and run. Okay, cut and run. Nobody wants to die for a fat pedophile war criminal. Cut and run. Get the fuck out of there and send a fucking apology to Iran because you're the ones that started this. You and Netanyahu, the axis of Epstein. So this is the dumbest way you could possibly react. I saw Joe Kent, who's supposedly an anti-war Republican, goes, we need to strike back for them killing our troops, but then after that, we need to get out and de-escalate. So first we need to escalate, then we need to de-escalate. What the fuck is wrong with these people? What are you, like, incapable of understanding basic logic and basic cause and effect? Do you not see that we started this? We threw the first punch. We were wrong. We were wrong. We were the baddies. Yes, we were the baddies. I know people are fucking indoctrinated with a whole bunch of American exceptionalist, American supremacist garbage. We're always the good guy, Papa, and they're always the bad guy. Fuck that. It's not true. It's made up. It's fake. It's fake. It's fake. Grow up. You're not a fucking toddler anymore. Okay? We were the baddies. And that's why we are where we are. So this should have been assigned to you. All right, I'm out this bitch. I'm done. We're done here. But he can't hold an L. He's fundamentally incapable of holding an L, even though it's phenomenally obvious to everybody that you have the L. There's no escaping it, right? This guy can't even take an L in a fucking golf event. Never mind a war or an election, for that matter. He's never accepting an L in an election. This is disgusting. And this guy's got to go, bro. He really does. All right. More details on Iranian attacks in Jordan. At least 29 Americans wounded, 2 killed, 1 missing. Several Black Hawks damaged. 2 bases targeted, attacked 4 of the last 5 days. Troops had relocated to Jordan from Bahrain, UAE, and Qatar. I love this. These fucking idiots are like, oh shit, Iran is attacking our bases way better than we thought they could. So now we're going to leave Bahrain, the UAE, and Qatar because those bases are getting barbecued. Let's go to Jordan. We'll be safe there. Get attacked at Jordan. Perhaps their intelligence is good and they're more capable than you realize and they will continue to fuck our shit up. Have you considered that? Have you considered you should have never started this fucking war in the first place? Oh my days. GOPL says 16 service members have died as a result of Trump's war in Iran. That's what they've admitted to. That's what they've admitted to. Okay? 430 have been injured. That's what they've admitted to. What are the actual numbers? I'll leave that up to you to figure out, but I can guarantee you it's higher than whatever the fuck they're saying. Breaking, Iran directly rejects U.S.-backed Qatar's new proposal of a 10-day ceasefire that would halt U.S. strikes on Iran in exchange for Iran opening 2 Hormuz shipping lanes, with Iran senior negotiating member Marandi saying, don't even think about it. This follows Iran's formal MOU exit 2 days ago and Iranian Deputy FM Garibabadi stating that Iran will never start negotiations with the U.S. under any circumstances. This is what I warned you about. The chickens are now coming home to roost. This is what I warned you about. The United States of America has gotten away time and time again with making a promise, doing a deal, putting it in writing, and then wantonly violating it immediately. How many times has this happened? The fucking Paris Climate Agreement is a great example of this. The JCPOA, the Iranian Nuclear Agreement, is a great example of this. Okay? The various economic deals that Trump made with Canada is another example of this. He made a deal with Canada, and then he gets back in office and goes, who made this deal? It sucks, and he fucking ripped it up. Okay? You cannot have a functioning government and a functioning society if you do not honor the treaties that were signed before you. Okay? Trump not only doesn't honor those, he doesn't honor ones he fucking made. So what happens in that scenario? This, where people wise up and they go, we will never start negotiation with the U.S. under any circumstances. You literally need a change of the government here, a change of the regime here, in order to have any chance at peace and stability in this world. Any chance whatsoever. That's literal. I mean that. Jesus Christ, man. There's no way this guy, people are like, oh, it'll get fixed before the midterms. My fucking ass cheeks, it'll get fixed before the midterms. No chance. No shot. So I love the idea, like, we keep bombing the shit out of them and they retaliate and then we go, we're going to bomb you even harder. But 10-day break? Literally the only reason the U.S. is even asking for the 10-day break is because, again, they're trying to reload, refresh, replenish, and get ready for the next phase. And Iran knows that. And they're desperate to get those oil tankers out of the Middle East. Okay? That's what that's like the biggest thing. Ready? Breaking. Yemen's Houthis announce a maritime embargo against Saudi Arabia, effectively banning Saudi maritime traffic through the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. Saudi Arabia exports 4.5 million barrels of crude oil per day through this key waterway. So, with the Strait of Hormuz being shut, this was one of the ways to attempt to bypass the Strait of Hormuz being shut to still get some barrels out of the Middle East to mitigate the oil shock that the world is currently experiencing. Okay? Now, Yemen's Houthis are back in this bitch because Saudi Arabia just attacked them as well. Okay? And so now they're shutting down the other way of getting oil out of the Middle East. Well, that's lovely. That's fucking awesome. That'll have tremendously negative consequences. In fact, right before I came on air, breaking footage shows a Saudi commercial vessel on fire in the Strait of Hormuz after Iran's IRGC struck it while it attempted transit through the Omani side. This comes about an hour after the Houthis announced a full naval blockade on Saudi Arabia. Here's a picture of what that ship now looks like. Okay? Crude oil only has 43 days of supply left in the USA. Crude oil only has 43 days of supply left in the USA. So do you understand what's going on here? We're getting to the bottom of the strategic reserves. Okay, that's how the Trump regime has been finding a way to mitigate the increase in gas prices. Obviously, prices have gone up. That's a given. But they've mitigated how much it should have gone up by releasing a bunch of the strategic petroleum reserve. Well, now we're getting to the bottom of that. So we don't have that shit left. Now, not only is the Strait of Hormuz shut, but also the Bab el-Mandeb Strait is shut. So put all of these things together. Iran has threatened to attack the Saudi East-West pipeline, which was another way of getting around the Strait of Hormuz being shut. If you put all those things together, what we're looking at here is $6 a gallon gasoline, $7 a gallon gasoline, maybe even $8, could be up to $8, but probably $6 to $7.30 or so, like that range. And oh my days, that is a catastrophe. That is a giant recession or economic depression waiting to happen. That is a panicked Donald Trump in a corner like an animal, desperately flailing and trying to get out of it. And oh boy, y'all better watch out. Because at that point, you'll either need a full fucking taco, right? Where it's just every term Iran wants, Iran gets it, but then we'll just lie and spin it and try to pretend like we won. You'll either get that, or you'll get a ground invasion. You'll get some of the oil islands attempting to be taken by the U.S. You'll get a Moab being used, a nuke being used, chemical weapons. Some psychotic shit is coming. I have no doubt, because they've now destroyed any path of diplomacy and negotiation. Okay, and with that being destroyed, all the rest of the options are straight from the pits of hell. Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to. So we had the World Cup final yesterday, and, I ended up rooting for Spain in the final for the very simple reason that all of the modern-day Hitlers were rooting for, I should say, Argentina. You had Ben Gavir posted some Go Messi shit and, was holding up an Argentina flag or something like that. You had Netanyahu as well. By the way, the history with Argentina it gets sort of sketchy. Not only is Javier Milei one of the biggest psychopaths on earth, currently running the country into the ground, crypto scamming his own people, selling out the country to Israel, but the history, a lot of the Nazis who survived, escaped, and went to Argentina. Now Argentina is married up to Israel, and Israel supports them. They support Israel. It's a fucking free market hellscape where people are dumpster diving for food because Milei is such an anarcho-capitalist extremist. He's gutting whatever social safety net there was. People are struggling. But anyway, I digress. I'm getting too much into the weeds here. But the worst people in the world were rooting for Argentina. And so my reaction to that was, I'm definitely going to support Spain because if for no other reason, despite Netanyahu, despite Ben Gavir, I know there's a lot of Messi fans out there, but, I'm sorry. I'd rather have the country whose government is pro-Palestine end up winning and not fucking Javier Milei and Netanyahu's team, okay? So anyway, I ended up rooting for Spain, and thankfully, they ended up winning. And I think the reason they won is because of the bad karma of having somebody like Netanyahu and Ben Gavir support you. And so that was good to see. I was happy to see that. Now, Trump, of course, forced his way into center stage at the World Cup. And, I remember hearing a month or so ago that he was going to hand out the fucking trophy. And I was like, oh no, he literally can't help himself. If anybody other than him is the main character for even 7 seconds, he loses it. This man needs attention like the rest of us need oxygen and water, okay? He just can't help it if he's not the one everybody's looking at and everybody's talking about. So he forces himself in that bitch. And, so he goes to the game, hands out the trophy with the head of FIFA, and it went about exactly as you'd expect, okay? When Trump went to the Knicks game, he fell asleep. He was also massively booed. He brought the worst fucking energy possible and made it so that was the one game the Knicks lost. The one game the Knicks lost was the one that Donald Trump went to. It's him. He's the fucking curse. By the way, that's another one who was rooting for Argentina. It was Donald Trump. And so that's why, everybody I know was going, fucking go Spain. Jesus Christ. Okay. So they show Trump at the beginning here. And of course, to nobody's surprise, massive boos. Here we go. Okay. So then at the end, like I said, hands out the trophy. And this is a classic Trump move. It's actually a classic, dictators think like this and act like this. Putin reportedly thinks like this and acts like this. Where there's a story of him what was it, a Super Bowl ring? He just took an NFL player's Super Bowl ring and didn't give it back. That's a classic Putin story. I could be fucking up the details, but there's something of vital importance to somebody, just took it, never gave it back. Trump, very famously, does this all the time. So here he is. They're handing out the World Cup. And you see the head of FIFA desperately trying to get Trump out of the way so they can get the fucking team picture, and Trump refuses to move. He was photobombing the fucking winning World Cup picture. This is insane. Here we go. Here he comes, trying to move him out of the way. He was desperately trying to move him out of the way. Watch again. The head of FIFA desperately trying to move him out of the way. Now, by the way, this son of a bitch deserved every second of this because this is a guy who gave Trump the FIFA World Peace Prize. And then 7 seconds later, Trump is carpet bombing fishermen in the Caribbean and the Pacific. Trump is toppling the government of Venezuela and stealing their oil and stealing their gold. Trump is threatening a new country every other day, like Greenland and Mexico. So he gives him the FIFA Peace Prize. Trump immediately says, I'm going to start multiple wars, and making a fool of him. And so he deserves every second of this that Trump is fucking up your glorious World Cup finals picture. Again, watch. Look at this. Trump trying to make small talk with the players. They have no interest. Like, virtually all these guys. There's also another, I didn't pull this video up, there's another awkward video of, like, he's shaking the players' hands and, like, a lot of them are skipping over him because they want nothing to fucking do with them. No, the fucking arrogance of this man. Like, obviously, nobody wants anything to do with you, bro. Like, all you're known for is warmongering and racism. Like, think about it. The rest of the world, every time they hear about the U.S., it's like, oh, they bombed another country. Oh, they started another war. Oh, he gave another fucking racist screed. Like, that's it. It's that and, you know, the Epstein files. You're a notorious pedophile. That's how the world knows you. As the pedophile guy. That's it. The clown pedophile. That's it. And so the arrogance of this guy to think for a second, like, oh yeah, I'll be welcomed with these Spanish players who just won the World Cup. Like, why the fuck would any of them have any reason to like you? These people, they're not fucking Bryson DeChambeau. By the way, did you see that whole thing? You know, we had the British Open, and DeChambeau got a penalty assessed because he improved the line of his backswing because he, stepped on some grass that was high up. It looked like he improved his lie. And so apparently DeChambeau was arguing with the RNA officials and saying, like, I'm gonna call Trump. I'm gonna get Trump on the phone, and Trump's gonna rescind this penalty. Oh my God, bro. Oh my days. Oh no. Oh no, Bryson, what have you done? Embarrassing. These guys aren't Bryson. These guys have some fucking integrity and don't have the world's dumbest fucking politics. Again, watch. Here we go. Watch the head of FIFA desperate to get him out of the way. Oh, come on. Get out. Get out. Come on, sir. Literally tries to grab him by the arm. Come on, get out of here. And Trump knows. Trump knows what he's doing. Trump knows. You think he doesn't know? You think he's just like a big oaf just like wandering around? No, this is like, I want to be in this fucking picture. I want to be in this fucking picture. By the way, of course, they photoshopped him out instantaneously, y'all. Like, we blinked. He was gone. They took his ass out there. Of course, because why the fuck would you want him in there? Hey, here's the happiest day of our lives, and there's Adolf Hitler. Like, who wants that? This is me having my greatest moment ever. And there's fucking the worst person you've ever seen in human history. Nobody wants that. Jesus Christ. So desperate. Everything's got to be about him. Everything's got to be me all the time. They literally treat him like a Make-A-Wish kid. As all of this is going on, by the way. He was at his fucking golf course doing a fundraiser. Then he's at the World Cup photobombing the winning picture. As all this was going on, a 25-year-old American and a 19-year-old American were killed in an illegal war that he started, which we didn't fucking need. Insane. A 19-year-old girl getting blown to pieces as he's acting like a Make-A-Wish kid. So afterwards, on his way back, he's asked about the war, and a reporter says to him, hey, you said the war was only going to be 4 or 5 weeks. Like, what the fuck? Here's his reaction.
You said at the start of the war it would be 4 or 5 weeks. Well, you keep hitting me. This is a far bigger job that we're doing. We were doing a little job of stopping them from having a certain capability. Now we're just ending it.
I literally cannot keep up with the number of times he's flip-flopped and contradicted himself. I think it's over like 40 times that he said, we won. We obliterated Iran. We won. We destroyed their military. It's over. We're wrapping up. It's done. It's over. We achieved all of our goals, and that's why we're leaving. But that's also why we're continuing, and why we're doing more, and we're going to attack more, and we're not leaving. We're not leaving it. We're not going anywhere. It's not over. It's done and it's over, but it's not over. Guys, I not to pat myself on the back too hard here, but I told you guys that he's a right-wing postmodernist. A right-wing postmodernist is a person who doesn't care about the truth. They don't care about objectivity or empirical reality. They create their own reality. It is my reality. It is my truth. It's all subjective. None of it's objective. And so that's why he says all these things, and to him, the contradiction is irrelevant. All these things live in superposition with each other. I could say we won and it's over, and also it's not over, and we're going to keep going. And to him, he just feels it's fine, it's normal. But yeah, he said 4 or 5 weeks. Now it's not. First, they were like 2 weeks. Then it's like 4 or 5 weeks. Then it's like, all right, 1 month. And then they keep adding. Oh, it's going to cost $25 billion. Oh, actually, it's going to cost $67 billion. Okay, actually, I'm asking for $350 billion. I mean, you can't take anything they say seriously. I mean, this guy, what did he say? Like, dozens of times, I'm going to end the Ukraine war on day one of my regime. Well, what happened to that? Like, nothing this guy says. How many times? I'm going to bring down prices on day one. Oh, what's that? I increased prices a lot because of my illegal, stupid war with the Strait of Hormuz being shut. What's that? You got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. You said it was going to be done in 4 or 5 weeks. Well, it was a little job. Now it's a big job. But we're done now, but we're not done at all. Oh, my days.
Capability. Now we're just ending it. So it's really not the same thing. What we're doing now is we're ending any chance where they can have a nuclear missile. If you look,
Barack Obama did that. Barack Obama had ended the chance they would ever get a nuclear weapon because we had a deal that was worked out that they followed perfectly. We followed perfectly until you got in power and ripped it up and took a diarrhea dump on it. But the JCPOA was working perfectly. That's not me speaking. That's not Barack Obama speaking. That's the IAEA, the International Atomic Energy Agency, who said they verified it over a dozen times that Iran was following the agreement perfectly. Okay? So now they do this thing where it's like, they're never going to get a nuclear weapon, and we're going to get the Strait of Hormuz open. So in other words, now the goal of the war is to just get to where we were when Obama left office. When Obama left office, Strait of Hormuz was open and free, and they didn't have a nuclear weapon, and they weren't going to get one. Now the goal of the war has degraded all the way to, let's get back to 2016 before I ruined everything. Shit, it was like this during well, I guess during Biden it was a little bit different because he should have got back in the agreement and he didn't. Trump ripped up the agreement when he first got in there in 2017. But now the purpose of the war is let's just get back to 2016. So all this was for nothing. The fucking hundreds of billions of dollars you wasted, the 16 American lives that are now gone, the thousands of innocent Iranians who've been killed and injured, all this was for nothing.
after a week and a half, not 4 weeks, a week and a half, 2 weeks, we stopped them from probably, but I don't want to have the word probably. Thank you very much, everybody.
What the fuck was that? Look, I'm at the point now, you have to call it what it is. If you listen to this guy and you think he makes sense, you're an idiot. Like, you're stupid. If you listen to him and you think, oh, he nailed it, like, that is, you were bonked on the head or something. It is not possible. You need to be totally devoid of the ability to process logic to come to the conclusion that this guy's anything but a giant fucking con artist. Then we also get this one. He talks about how Iran's lost everything militarily. All right, let's listen. Here we go.
It was great. It was a great event, yes. Well, we feel very badly, but, you know, those great people, those great patriots were out there fighting that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Iran has been very, very badly damaged. They've lost everything almost militarily. They've got very little left. They've got some missiles. They've got some drones. They've got some manufacturing ability, not much. We control the Strait.
Oh, this is a lie. It's all a lie. We destroyed them. They have very little, if anything. Really? Then why are they still kicking your fucking ass? Oh, we control the Strait. Really? Then why is it that they were just able to shut that bitch down? What's even the point? What are we even doing here?
Don't control anything. So we'll see what happens. But we hit them very hard again tonight. And we did that in honor of the probably three. It's probably three as opposed to two. Great patriots.
Then he starts going after Canada because of the wildfire smoke that's been coming into the country. Listen.
Well, we're going to see. We'll be speaking to them. We'll be seeing.
And, sir, can I ask you, did you have a conversation with Carney from Canada today?
I did, yeah, I did.
How did that go?
Well, it went good, but I told him, I mean, you got to stop these fires from coming in and, you know, poisoning our air. Our air has been poisoned. I have a good relationship with Mark Carney, but, you know, we got to stop the fires up there. If we can help them, we'll help them. But maybe they should pay us some damages or something, or we should do some tariffs.
That's amazing. He's saying Canada should pay us damages because their wildfire air is coming in this country. Then how much should the fucking oil companies pay for bringing about climate change, which has made it so we have more extreme weather events? The climate has been absolutely cooked. It's going to lead to drought and famine and wars over water and rising sea levels and all sorts of disasters. If you want to open up that door, okay, but the fucking oil companies better pay up immediately, bro.
But it was terrible. I mean, you had businesses closing. In particular, Michigan, if you look at Detroit, Michigan area, they had to close everything. They had to close car plants and a lot of other things. So,
wow, the climate, who knew? Who knew the climate?
I've never remembered this happening over the last.
It's almost like things are changing, like maybe the climate is changing. Remember, this idiot destroyed all of our investments into green and renewable energy. All of them. Biden did a whole bunch of billions of dollars of investments into green and renewable energy. He immediately came in, nuked all of that shit, and quadrupled down on the dirty fucking fossil fuel energy. And now we have an oil shortage. Brilliant. Brilliant. So even in this moment, where even forget any thought of climate whatsoever, just basic common sense would indicate in this moment, hey, we should probably be getting our energy some other way since we now have a looming fucking oil and gas shortage, and this idiot's still fucking not a thought. In fact, he gave a speech the other day ranting, we gotta stop the windmills. The windmills are killing the whales, and they're killing the birds. That's what it is. And when I said no more windmills at all in this country. So as we are, we're in the Titanic and we just hit the fucking iceberg and we're beginning to sink. He's going, I don't want any lifeboats. Lifeboats are an eyesore. They're kind of ugly. I don't like them. Get rid of them. What a fucking jackweasel.
4 or 5 years you saw it starting to take place. I've never remembered it happening.
Jesus Christ. Okay, more though. Here we go. He's not done. Here he's gonna lecture Canada. Here's how you avoid the wildfires.
Canadian wildfires. Did you speak to the Canadian Prime Minister?
I did. Well, I was just saying, I gave an answer here. I spoke to him about it. I said, you gotta get it stopped.
You gotta get it stopped. Oh, thank you. I'm sure they hadn't thought about that. Mark, you got fires. You gotta get it stopped. Oh, goddamn. Thank you. Finally, I spoke to an expert. The expert let me know to stop it. I was sitting here going, what if we try to do more wildfire? What if we make the wildfire spread along a wider area? Let's do that instead, bro. But then Trump called me and Trump said, you should stop it. And I went, oh, and then we stopped it. That's what happened.
It's really forest management, and they should know how to do that. If you go back 4 or 5 years, I don't remember ever having a problem like this, and we do have that problem.
Oh my God. Do forest management, that's what it is. Now, by the way, we get wildfires all the time, specifically in California. We get them all the fucking time, okay? What ends up happening is there's no rain for a while, things dry out, all you need is one fucking lightning strike anywhere, and it ignites a fucking blaze. That's what happens, okay? And here's, forest management is what you gotta do. Ready? Hope Canada's got it covered because Trump proposed cutting our Forest Service budget by 400 million DZACs. We are so cooked. We are the most cooked people of all time. Yes, the fucking screwworm outbreak just cooked our cattle industry because these guys are idiots and they cut the thing that prevents screwworm. They cut the fly program that we dump some flies over Panama, takes out the screwworms, and that's that. And it's good. We're taking care of the cyclospora outbreak. Prepare yourself. That's a little peek into what the future of this country is going to look like. You're going to have a new fucking explosive diarrhea parasite outbreak every month, and it's going to be a different kind of explosive diarrhea parasite outbreak every month. Why do I say that? They got rid of all the fucking daily food inspections. The FDA doesn't do FDA shit anymore in the same way that the EPA doesn't do EPA shit anymore. They're dumping fucking coal ash into our fresh water. They're using glyphosate, dousing everything with glyphosate, the cancer-causing pesticides, or we're all going to get fucking cancer by the time we're 60. Okay? This, guys, government matters. And these people, in their infinite stupidity, go, why don't we just give the corporations and billionaires everything they want? Let the Epstein class do everything. And so you just let them run wild, and this is the result. This is the fucking result. Jesus Christ. But you ready? This is my favorite. So the same day he's going, I don't know, we never used to have this. It's almost like the climate is changing. The same fucking day, he posts, ready? The National Academy of Sciences has historically published analytical scientific manuals expressly for our federal judiciary. Of course, the Academy has been run by radical left Democrats who it turns out, published fraudulent, biased, and misleading manuals on climate change. These bogus manuals were used by judges to decide massive climate change cases and have created huge losses across our country. These manuals have been totally discredited. Our nation's our nation's federal judges deserve facts and science, not political fraud and false science on climate. With this truth, I hereby order federal suspension and debarment officials to review this conduct. Our taxpayers should not be funding climate fraud, and judges should not have relied upon it. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So the same day he's asked about some climate catastrophe, he's going, the climate, it seems like it's changing. There's a lot of climate change. The same fucking day he's going, we need to get rid of all this stupid science from the climate change stuff. We need to get rid of that. We need to throw it out. It's fake. It's bogus. It's wrong. Yeah, I'm losing faith, bro. I'm becoming very pessimistic in this moment. I really am. Because, like, we are so far out of bounds, I don't know how to get the train back on the tracks. You know what I'm saying? Like, we are so gonzo. You know, I feel like this is how hard I feel like this task is. It's a Herculean task. I feel like we're stranded in the middle of the Amazon jungle, and we're told you need to make an Apple MacBook from scratch, and you got to do it in a month. That's what it feels like. And I'm going, I guess we're just done then, because I can't do that, right? Like, that's what it feels like right now. That's what it feels like. The world's dumbest man is marching us straight off a cliff, marching humanity straight off a cliff. And this fat pedophile, rapist, con man terrorist is only going to be with us for like another 5 years maximum if everything goes right. And truth be told, I think it's way less than that. But that guy is dragging down humanity with him. And I can't, bro. I can't fucking deal with it anymore.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
So Andrew Tate appears to be completely and utterly fucked. He was just arrested in Miami by U.S. Marshals, and it appears like the UK is trying to extradite him. But the laundry list of charges this time, y'all, is very long. It is a very long list. So, let me show you here. Andrew and Tristan Tate charged in the UK as prosecutors seek their extradition from the US. 7 counts of rape, 3 counts of arranging or facilitating trafficking for sexual exploitation, 3 counts of assault, occasioning actual bodily harm, 19 additional charges for offenses relating to indecent images of a child and extreme pornography. Uh-oh. That's a lot of charges. And my guess is they wouldn't have got to this point where they're being arrested by U.S. Marshals and extradited unless they really, really got the goods. Now, let's remember, the reason these guys are even in the United States to begin with is because the Trump regime allowed them to be. The Trump regime gave them special treatment and allowed them in, despite the fact they were facing different charges in another country. So, game recognized game, pedo recognized pedo. We're talking about the Epstein criminals and the Tate criminals all like looking out for each other. It's like there's some fucking some fredophile radar that they all have, that they send out the fucking bat signal, and they're like, look, I'll protect you if you protect me. And that's exactly what was going on. The guy who's mentioned in the Epstein files more than anybody else on Earth over 1 million times is also protecting basically the modern day Jeffrey Epstein, Andrew Tate, okay? All right, so let me give you some more here. Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate have been arrested in Miami by U.S. Marshal Service. Statement below from the UK's Crown Prosecution Service about additional charges being filed against the brothers. The Tate brothers are facing a total of 59 charges, 42 against Andrew Tate and 17 against Tristan Tate. So here is the video of them getting arrested. Let's watch.
Mr. Tate, would you mind signing?
Hey, take.
Come back. Oh, shit. Come over here, buddy. Now, by the way, I don't know if you saw it here, but there's one point where he's trying to, like, slip his cell phone to his bodyguard, and I don't think his bodyguard recognizes. But that's not a great indicator of what's on that phone now, is it? It's pretty big red flag. Also, people are mocking the shit out of his outfit. The fact that this guy is viewed in some circles as like the prime alpha male, and he's dressed like your Aunt Trudy. Like, what the fuck is this fit? Jesus Christ, you just ruined capris for everybody, okay? What the fuck are those loafers you're wearing? And, God, I mean, I don't know, it just... I would say it's the gayest shirt I've ever seen, except that's completely and utterly unfair to gay people who usually have phenomenal style. Okay? Like, this is not good. This is not good, homie. What's that guy doing? Trying to take off his chains?
Guys, back up.
Now, let's remember, the Trump regime cannot pardon him for UK crimes. They also, by the way, wouldn't be able to pardon him if it was state crimes. Okay? Because state crimes, you can't get a presidential pardon for state crimes. The president can only pardon federal crimes. Now, this isn't state charges, but he also can't pardon UK charges. It's kind of crazy we even have to talk about, like, hey, maybe our pedophile president will pardon this other pedophile. It's kind of insane that the first thing everybody thinks is, oh yeah, he's got the pay-to-play scheme set up where you go to Mar-a-Lago, you give him $1 million, he'll pardon whoever the fuck you want. He's pardoned like billions of dollars worth of fraudsters who are just out there scamming people again. You know, he's considering pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell. Diddy's probably on that list, right? A lot of people are looking like, damn, why does he keep pardoning these weird rapper people? Because they're paying him for the pardon. So, like, you know, that's the first thing you think of is, oh, this guy's going to get out of it because he's rich and because he's famous and because he knows how to play the game. But not now, because it's going to the UK.
You know the score? Are you able to pull it up since the list? You got it. Okay.
Yeah, bro is cooked. Bro is cooked. There are endless videos of Tristan and Andrew Tate talking about beating, choking, raping, and controlling women, and yet the vice president, J.D. Vance, follows them. Of course he does. What is wrong with you, J.D. Vance? All right, so here's just one example. Prepare yourself. Here we go.
Am I a bad person? Because the more you didn't like it, the more I enjoyed it. I loved how much you hated it. Turned me on. Why am I like that? Why?
Whilst we were having sex, he put his hand on my throat and strangled me until I lost consciousness. But he was still having sex with me when I kind of came back around again.
I am one of the most dangerous men on this planet. Sometimes you forget exactly how lucky you were to get by me. Would you rather me pin you down and make you do things you didn't like, or would you rather you didn't like that I was thinking I can do whatever I want to? That's what it is. I'm the smartest person on this planet.
And then the next day, one of the whites of my eyes had gone completely red. Apparently, that's kind of common in domestic abuse cases where there's a lack of oxygen in your brain.
Oh.
So your blood vessels like start bursting to kind of try and get the oxygen there.
Are you seriously so offended I strangled you a little bit? You didn't pass out?
But he kind of kept saying...
It says on the screen, y'all, I love graping you and watching you let me while still debating if it's a good idea or not. Bro literally said, I love graping you on a text message. That's what we call in the business an open and shut case, y'all. That's what that is. Like, are you trying to get caught? What the fuck is this? What is this?
I own you, you belong to me, like threatening to kill me.
Chill the out. Jesus Christ, I thought you were cool.
Jesus, man, this is dark. All right, here's another one. Shout out to the Milk Bar TV, this guy Nathan Livingstone. He's documented a whole bunch of the stuff that Andrew Tate has said. And yet again, I mean, we're at the point where, like, you should be able to just play the stuff Andrew Tate has said himself on video, and that should be enough for a conviction in a world that made sense, okay? Don't take my word for it. You're about to see for yourself. Nobody has told on themselves more than this man. Here we go.
I was all about trying to get paid. Like, I used sex as a tool to make women love me so they'd obey me and live in my house and make me money. That's what I wanted. So I was a pimp in that sense.
Being kickboxer, yeah, playboy, pimp.
I'm happy with those labels so far.
But the majority of my money wasn't made in fighting. My money was actually made in the pimp game. We understand some basic concepts to the pimp game. Basic concepts to the reality.
Let me just point out real quick also, I've never seen a beard do such heavy lifting as with Andrew Tate. This man has a negative chin. There's no chin there. He is the chinless wonder. But just a little bit of facial hair goes a long fucking way. By the way, I know. Glass house, I know. However, like, I mean, it is true. This man is the chinless wonder, and a little bit of facial hair makes up for a lot.
Realities between men and women. Women need a man to do OnlyFans. It's the same reason a woman need a man to do anything, because they're incompetent and they're very, very lazy. And they're stupid.
When you're pimping bitches like me, it's a full-time job.
So yeah, on corporatetape.com I have my PhD program, and that is PhD is a pimp and hose degree that I'm.
By the way, and I've showed you this video before on the show. We showed it on Crystal Kyle and Friends. He talks about the lover boy method. He did a video where he walks you through exactly how to take advantage of a woman, exploit a woman, effectively make her like your sex slave, pimp her out on OnlyFans, lie to her. He does this whole thing where he talks about how, you know, you control their passwords, you log them in, you log them out, you control the tax forms, and you just steal the majority of their money, and they have no fucking clue. Like, he's openly describing countless crimes. Fraud, for example, comes to mind. And at no point did he think, you know, hey, maybe I shouldn't post this on the internet for various authorities to use against me. And that's exactly what's happening now. It's a miracle it took this long to get to this point. Oh, by the way, this girl right here, there's speculation that she's one of the key witnesses in this case. This girl that you're seeing on screen right now with the blonde hair.
Welcome to the TATE PhD course. If you've bought this course, which you obviously have, congratulations, you're going to change your life for the better. I know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm fucking certified. I know I don't look like a pimp right now. That teaches basically how I got girls, how I met girls, how I got girls to like me, how I got girls to fall in love with me to work on webcam for me. If you're on dates and you're trying to mention it and shit...
This is the video right here. This video right here, he explains like step by step. Hey, here's one crime I'm committing. Here's another crime I'm committing. Here's how you can also commit these same crimes. By the way, I should also point out, it is a fucking crime that this guy, in any circles, became like, you know, a celebrity and somebody to look up to and some like representative of traditional masculinity. Like, are you fucking kidding me? He's like a caricature of like the 1982 macho man prick who's just like a raging misogynist and criminal. And like the fact that he got, you know, 13-year-old boys across this country to purchase his courses and to look up to him and to, you know, say the most raging sexist shit imaginable, like in school to their little girl counterparts, that's fucking disgusting, bro. Like, we have failed as a nation that this man, you know, was able to get any amount of notoriety for any extended period of time. I mean, that's embarrassing. Like, how have the parents failed miserably? How has the broader society and culture failed miserably? And all these guys, by the way, these like 12-year-old boys, 13-year-old boys who pay for the courses and shit, these are guys who should be fucking worshiping women, because we all know the only person who gives a fuck about these little fucking snot-nosed bastards is their mothers, who, you know, make their fucking chicken nuggies for them, make their bed for them, make sure that they're not, you know, fucking homeless and destitute. It's a woman who's barely holding together the lives of these 13-year-old snot-nosed bastards who end up going down the Andrew Tate rabbit hole and loving violent, raging, criminal misogynists and acting like they figured out life. Like, are you fucking kidding me? What a sick joke, man.
It just doesn't work. It puts them off. I'd never do that. That's disgusting. I'm not a whore. It's just not gonna work. You continue as normal, no mention of webcam. By taking girls who didn't know how to be effective on webcam, girls who had never done webcam before, girls who didn't have the equipment, didn't have the know-how, didn't have the will, didn't have the premises, didn't have the ability to make money with this exchange. I created a system that allowed me to convince girls to do this, allowed me to retain 100% control of their income. You start with a girl.
He just says it out loud. I took 100% of their income. I control 100% of their income. Like, oh my God, bro. Oh my God. He's got a list of like dozens of crimes that bro just announced to committing on air.
You download OnlyFans on your phone. You take her ID pictures, her name, everything it takes to verify the account. You verify the account on your phone and you control the account. So you are now in charge of her OnlyFans. I learned every tip and trick it takes to make sure a girl gets paid. I know how to make sure the girl can't run away.
And of course, they don't go out. They're not allowed out. You stay in the house.
Because once you teach a girl how to do this, she has the ability to make unlimited money from home. Why would she still give it to you? Why would she just run off and keep it all for herself?
He's such a sign of the times, isn't he? But like Andrew Tate, Donald Trump, these are like the two key examples, in my opinion, of like the degradation of modern society, right? Trump has ushered in fascism, kakistocracy, postmodern conservatism, and Andrew Tate has ushered in, similarly, this like narcissistic, fake, hyper-masculine, raging, misogynist, patriarchal mindset. So, and this is manifesting in like a group of pathetic people desperately yearning for an objectively worse past as opposed to trying to get to a better future and really like dragging us backwards. It's like, how in so many ways we've gotten worse as a country. This is part and parcel of that, right? In the same way that like there aren't really economic prospects for the younger generation to do better than their parents' generation for the first time in U.S. history. This is like the same thing. Like the zombie bad ideas of the past, like the really overt sexism and misogyny. That's now coming back with a vengeance because of cartoon character loser criminals like this idiot.
That's right, lock the door, you knew I was going to beat the out of you. If you behaved, I wouldn't have to hit you, would I? You don't.
Again, fucking admitting to crimes. Oh my
Get
God.
Out. You can't stay in there forever.
Bang out the machete, boom in her face, and then grip her up by the neck. Like, shut up, bitch! Her panties get wet. The machete's on the floor, her panties are all wet. And you go, fuck her. That's how it goes. Every real G knows these basic moves. These are the basic moves of pimping.
This is like a lost 12-year-old boy's idea of being a manly man.
That's what I did. That was my MO, was find girls, make them love me, and make them work for me. And that's how I got rich. So that teaches everything I know from start to finish about not only getting girls, not only obtaining them, but retaining them.
Like, what is this guy doing now? What is this guy who, like, seriously interviewed Andrew Tate and seemingly was asking for advice on how to be a bad boy? What is this guy doing with his life now?
Hours of me explaining everything I know from start to finish from my career as a webcam pimp.
You were the pimp. I was the pimp. But now we're coming towards the end of Corona. I'm going to keep like 5 or 6 of my main girls.
Hey, don't forget, my girls were making us money too. Don't forget that.
I'm just saying.
Let them take full control over their accounts. They will run away. I like to keep the girl's passwords. I log them in and log them out. If you give the girl the password to her account, there's a chance she could run away and try it by herself. I've had that happen. Be in charge of her own phone contact with members who like her. You are setting yourself up to get scammed. All she has to do is type a sort code and account number to a member, and that has happened to me before. I went to the room, smashed the room up, told her I knew what she did. She sent me all the money, but that has happened to me before.
I honestly, it is astonishing that they're even going to bother to try to mount a defense. It really is. Like, dog, you guys are so cooked. It is so over. It is such a mess. By the way, Candace Owens will probably come out there and try to cook up some cockamamie conspiracy as to how Andrew Tate is innocent. It's all going to happen. He already released a video going, they won't even tell me the charges, mate. Like, shut the fuck up. What are you talking about? Just because you're pretending like that's the case doesn't mean we can't fucking look it up and immediately see exactly what the fucking charges are. Bitch, it's right here. 7 counts of rape, 3 counts of arranging or facilitating trafficking for sexual exploitation, 3 counts of 3 counts of assault occasioning actual bodily harm, and 19 additional charges for indecent images of a child and extreme pornography. If anybody keeps falling for this fucking ruse and this shtick, that's on you, bro. That's on you. I know that we're in an extra conspiratorial moment in U.S. history, but I do feel like something like this has the potential to break the fever, because Occam's razor is definitely the truth here. Occam's razor is that this guy is a fucking degenerate criminal prick, and all that's finally catching up with him.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
In so many ways, society is just regressing, and it seems to be happening at a record clip here. But very rarely do you get such stark examples of it right in front of our eyes, and I feel like this is a great example right here. Jesse Waters, or, the person who I've repeatedly said on this show has frat boy grapist energy, well, he just proved me right 1,000 ways to Sunday, because you're about to see here, this is nothing but like a pro-grape comment. It's sort of barely, shrouded in a hint of jokiness, but not really as you're about to see. So remember that story? We discussed it the other day. The Secretary of War Crimes, Pete Kegsbreath, he came out and gave this speech with a full face of makeup, with a dimly lit room, extra leaning into his theater kid background here. But he gives this speech where he says, we're going to be the high T military, and now we're allowed, if you're over the age of 30, you'll be tested if you're in the military for your testosterone levels, and we'll give you more testosterone and, you know, we're going to be the high T military. So basically, they're going to give the U.S. military a bunch of roids and make them jacked with tiny fucking balls and massive nipples. And they're going to pretend like it's like a 14-year-old boy's idea of like, let's make them an extra badass fighting force, bro. It's just so embarrassing, just so pathetic. But literally, they're like going to drug the shit out of our military and give them roids to make them like more immature and full of rage and stupid, and then like shove them out into the real world and have them go bomb some schools in Iran. Dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. Seriously, dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. And there's this resurgence of, you know, testosterone replacement therapy, as they call it, where like, you know, they're deregulating it and making it so you can get prescribed it. It's just literally like low-dose steroids for whatever guy wants it, right? Because as you get older, your testosterone levels naturally drop. They don't like how that feels, so they'd rather give you the testosterone. By the way, I watched a great video. I wish I had the title in front of me. I don't, but there was this great video that details all the negative side effects of steroids that nobody talks about these days. People act like, oh yeah, it'll just give you your vitality back and you'll feel like a lot better. That's why you should take it if you're like a fucking 50-year-old man or whatever. But one of the side effects of steroids, we don't even need to get into all of them, but one of the side effects of steroids is it ages you faster. It ages you faster. So the trade-off is like, yeah, you might feel a little better, whatever that means, but you're going to die younger. You're going to die younger as a result of it. Okay? A great example of this is, I know they're taking monster doses, but like all the old school WWF wrestlers back when it was the WWF, they're all fucking dead now. They're all dead and they died young because of fucking steroids. Okay? Now, granted, again, this is low dose. It's a little different, but it still has a cumulative effect over the years. And they're acting like the science is settled and is purely good for you. It's not. There's trade-offs like anything, and they're pretending like that's not the case. So here's Jesse Waters talking about this dumbass idea brought about by the Secretary of War Crimes, and listen to what he has the nerve to say. Here we go. Watch this.
You lose your endurance, muscle mass. So yeah, I want these guys on it. But you know what's going to happen? The guys that don't need it are going to take it. To triple boost.
Right.
And then they're going to get out there, and women on base, you guys better be careful. Yeah. Port calls, women in Asia, you better be careful, because these guys are going to be wild animals, and you better watch out.
Okay. Oh, God, the awkward silence. Oh, no. Oh, look at his face. Oh, no. The joke is literally like, huh? They're going to be some wild-ass rapists. Watch out, women on base. Know what I'm saying? Now, by the way, there's already a crisis of sexual assault against female soldiers. That's point number one. And they're working overtime to try to cover up all the different examples of it, as you know, right? That's point number one. Point number two is he mentions Asian women there. Guys, there is a long history of rampant abuse by U.S. soldiers of women in Okinawa, where we have one of our military bases, where they've wanted us to shut that bitch down for a long fucking time, directly because of the abuse that's occurred to the women there because of these soldiers. So let me play that for you one more time, and keep all that shit in mind as you're listening to this so-called joke. Here we go.
He says you lose your endurance, muscle mass. So yeah, I want these guys on it. But you know what's going to happen? The guys that don't need it are going to take it. To triple boost.
Right.
And then they're going to get out there, and women on base, you guys better be careful. Port calls, women in Asia, you better be careful, because these guys are going to be wild animals, and you better watch out.
Hey, what happens? They become wild. They become like violent and rage-filled, and they want to fuck. They're all roided up. They want to fuck. It's like, you know, like they might rape you. Huh? Watch out. Rape, right? Rape. I don't even know what to do with this, bro. I genuinely don't even know what to do with this. These people are sick. These people are fucking sick. This is the dumbest policy idea I've ever heard in my life. And it's only the way that I just want you to imagine if we flip the roles here, and it's like some foreign military that's being given steroids. Like, they would never find it funny. The idea of like, oh, some Iranian soldier raping an American woman, right? They wouldn't find that funny. They wouldn't find it funny if it was, you know, like a UK soldier doing it to somebody else. No, it's only like the American exceptionalism has become American supremacism. And the way that these people look at the world they have dehumanized everybody who's not us, right? And half of us, at least, because they hate all the liberals, they hate all the black people and the minorities, sexual and otherwise, religious. You know the whole spiel. And so it's only in that context can you make jokes like this and say shit like this. Let's look at some of the replies. By the way, 10 million views on this. That's wild, bro. He's talking about rape. He's laughing and joking and winking about women being prepared to be raped. In a sane fucking world, this scumbag wouldn't have a job today. If someone made an ISIS-style beheading video featuring this guy, plenty of people would pretend to be upset. But would anyone really? Eat shit, Jesse Waters.
Eat Jesse Waters.
So he's really going to laugh about possible rape in the military and overseas by servicemen. There is no bottom for this shit stain. Now, look, again, these are the people, they were cheering as the U.S. was bombing a little girls' school in Iran and killing like 165 little girls. They were laughing about that. They're laughing as the U.S. bombed a hospital, a children's hospital, like they did the other day in Iran. They're laughing and smiling and giggling as the U.S. is bombing bridges and bombing all sorts of civilian infrastructure, desalination plants. I mean, this is who these people are. Nuclear sites. This is who these people are. They're incapable of being logical. What an absolutely wild and abhorrent representation of our servicemen and women, just a complete fuckstick of a human. He's the guy who cheated on his wife with a coworker, right? Not only that, didn't he, correct me if I'm wrong here, guys, but didn't he like slash the tire of one of the women he was dating so that he could give her a ride home? Right? Am I right about that? I'm telling you, man, the guy's got the look of a frat boy rapist, and I think everybody knows it. I think everybody's aware of it, okay? This person says, wonder why he said women in Asia. Yes, U.S. soldiers committed rape against female civilians during both the Korean War and the Vietnam War. Detailed historical records, military court-martial transcripts, veteran testimonies, and human rights reports document that wartime sexual violence was perpetrated by American military personnel in both conflicts. Like I said, not only that, we also have Okinawa. You know who else hopped up their soldiers on all kinds of performance-enhancing chemicals? How Nazi Germany pioneered the use of performance-enhancing drugs in World War II. That's exactly fucking right. So understand, they're going to pump these soldiers up with steroids to make them, fucking boiling pots of rage, okay? Then they're also going to give them a bunch of uppers, whether it be modafinil, Provigil, some kind of an amphetamine, Adderall. Like so it's like a double whammy. And then these people will be complete menaces to society. We see that people in those sorts of altered mind states will further dehumanize the other. And that's how you get shit like this. And the joke of the grape is going to become real life. That's what's going to happen. So, this is how far we've fallen. By the way, Fox News, the exact same network that had, Brian Kilmeade, somebody on Fox News, said, we need to do the involuntary lethal injection for homeless people. That's another way of saying we should mass murder every single homeless person, which is what, roughly 500,000, 600,000 people, probably more than that, including like 70,000 veterans. We should mass murder 600,000 people. Again, a classic, that's another Nazi policy, right? Another Nazi policy, casually floated on Fox News. I don't even know if there was any reprimanding over that or any timeout or suspension or anything. You get to say stuff like, hey, soldiers are probably going to rape Asian women, huh? And you get to say stuff like, let's just mass murder all homeless people, huh? And nothing happens. Because this is what state regime media is. It is just a hub of the worst, most deranged, demented, vile, wretched, cretinous freaks you've ever seen in your life, spewing the most disgusting opinions of all time. And nobody bats an eyelash.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
So the Trump regime keeps telling us in a very direct and straightforward way that liberals are the problem, leftists are the problem. Not only do we disagree with us, not only are they the enemy, we are actively going to criminalize being a liberal or being a leftist. I know that might sound hyperbolic to you. It might sound extreme and insane, because it is extreme and insane. But this is actually what they're doing, and I need you to understand that. I need you to wrap your mind around that. I need you to accept that. That NSPM 7 laid the groundwork for exactly what's coming now, which is Trump's ICE Gestapo paramilitary thugs effectively being used to snuff out any and all dissent. Not only are they laying the groundwork to try to steal the midterms, steal 2028, lock in permanent power, but also they are directly coming for all of us, okay? So, there was a speech that Stephen Miller gave the other day where, again, he could not make this more clear. Like, again, I don't want you to listen to me tell you this and you just accept it. I want you to hear it straight from his mouth. This guy is viewed as one of the shadow presidents because Trump has delegated a lot of authority to him and he gets a lot of leeway to basically do whatever the fuck he wants. Okay? He's like, if you watch Game of Thrones, he's like the king's hand. And in some ways, the king's hand even has like more power than the king because he's more hands-on and he really steers the car, right? So, Stephen Miller gives a speech, and I'm going to show you part of it here in just a second, but look at this. So Jim Stewartson says the following. This speech by Stephen Miller is so deeply evil, it's hard to fathom it coming from a White House employee. This is pure Nazism. The in-group is morally superior, ordered, beautiful, and normal. The out-group is abnormal, scarred, and deformed. By the way, this is directly from Stephen Miller. This is what Stephen Miller is saying. It's like he's saying, here's all that is good, and here's all that is evil, and it is a speech that easily could have been given by Adolf Hitler himself or Goebbels, who, of course, Stephen Miller is the modern-day version of Goebbels, both in ideology but also in looks. They look fucking identical. Okay, let's continue. The in-group goes to church on Sunday. Even Miller is Jewish, by the way. He's a Jewish Nazi. He actually is that. The out-group is violent junkies and predators. This is precisely how the Nazis spoke about their political opposition. It is a full-throated commitment to eugenics as a policy. In reality, you just need to watch Miller to see everything he claims to be afraid of. Hatred, jealousy, and violence. He's the most deformed man in America. Finally, when Miller brings up the boogeyman of Antifa, it's important to remember the original Antifa were anti-fascists in Weimar, Germany, who were the first people sent to Dachau. There is no left versus right anymore. This is life versus death, says Jim Stewartson. So prepare yourself. Here's the speech that Stephen Miller gave the other day, and it is incredibly, incredibly dark.
The leftist is fundamentally motivated by envy, by hatred, by jealousy. The leftist looks at what is beautiful and what is good and what is natural and is filled with envy and hatred.
Can we just point out how absurd it is that the most hateful little man in the country is talking about how the other side is hateful? Like, there has never been a more hateful, little, spiteful prick than Stephen Miller. Stephen Miller is the architect of everything ICE is doing. All, the 2,000 arrests per day, the raiding the Lowe's and the Home Depot parking lots, the assaulting senior citizens, the shoving people in concentration camps, the destruction of the Constitution and the lack of any due process or habeas corpus whatsoever. The removal of, the warrant system, where you need to get a warrant from a judge to search people's property. All of that is Stephen Miller. Stephen Miller is the one who's directly responsible for the over 50 people who've died in ICE custody and the over 11 who were shot and killed. This is the guy, and he's going, the other side is so hateful. What the fuck are you? You're the most hateful little demon we've ever seen. Hatred oozes out of every pore of your body. All right, let's continue.
The leftist looks at a perfect family with a perfect life and a perfect job and perfect kids that goes to church every Sunday and is filled with a feeling of inadequacy and jealousy, and they covet, and they turn those emotions ultimately into a desire to subjugate, to oppress, and to inflict pain and suffering.
That is literally everything he does. And again, you want to talk about inadequacy? Look at this man. He's calling other people inadequate. Look at this man. Dude, there's never been a more inadequate person. Is there any doubt in your mind that Stephen Miller has a fucking micro penis? That he's got the tiniest little pecker you've ever seen in your life? That he knows he's never pleased a woman? Is there any fucking doubt in your mind? And then again, the man who's doing all the subjugation and the oppression in the country is saying the left is doing that. By the way, make no mistake about it, he is jealous of liberals and he is jealous of leftists. You want to know why? Because we have actual values. We have actual morality. And even by his own standards, how many examples have we seen of conservative Christians, MAGA supporters, televangelists, Republican politicians? They talk a big game about, we're all about family values and one man and one woman and a white picket fence and a dog and 2.5 kids, bro. And then the second nobody's looking, they are gargling dick in a New Jersey Turnpike bathroom. They are slobbing on knobs left and right. They are begging for some fat, hairy trucker to put his balls in their mouth. And virtually every time it's a Republican, pedocon theory is a theory like gravity is a theory. Meanwhile, all the liberals and the leftists and the Democrats are having like the most standard, traditional American relationships you've ever seen in your life. All these guys who preach that any other way of living is abnormal and degenerate and unacceptable, they're all secretly living lies, right? Whereas on the Democratic side, we're all living as who we are, happy as a pig in shit. This whole speech is projection on top of Nazi garbage. Let's keep going.
It's not a coincidence that when you look at these violent Antifa demonstrations, you see any photograph of those who were assembled. To be blunt, not one of the people that is demonstrating looks like a normal person.
Bro, you think you look normal? Bro, you think you look normal? Bro, you were on TV a few years back and you spray painted hair on your bald ass head. And it didn't even look like one of those products that's specifically made to pretend to be hair. It looked like your ass went to motherfucking Home Depot to the paint aisle and sprayed jet black paint on your head. You're going to talk about this? Oh, my days.
Not one looks normal. They're all deformed in some way, in their appearance, in their dress, in their mannerism. Why is that? Why? If you look at two photographs and you see a normal American street, you see an Antifa protest. Why did the people that are violently demonstrating, why is there not one normal-looking person among them?
Oh, my days. Oh, my goodness. I can't even deal with this, bro. This is so crazy. This is so crazy. The most unfuckable little derpy twerp in the country going, look at all these people on the other side. They're unfuckable little derpy twerps.
Every one of them, through the course of their life and their decisions, has scarred their body and their appearance in many different ways to the point in which their outer appearance becomes a manifestation of their inner hatred.
I love how, their inner hatred. Yeah, tell me again about hatred, you fucking bitch. Tell me again about hatred. You are the most hateful little demon in the world. But also, this is literally like a throwback to 1950 style. Like, man, we don't like piercings or tattoos, man. Like, okay, Grandpa, nobody gives a fuck. Nobody cares what you like or what you don't like. And this is a guy who's destroying this country. It's astonishing.
Trust your instincts. To all people and across all civilizations, you know what normal is. You know what beautiful is. You know what good is. You know that families are right. You know that children are precious and beautiful and must be protected. You know that the criminal and the junkie.
Okay, he literally just did the, children are beautiful and must be protected. You are part of the pedophile protecting regime. Donald Trump is the #1 name mentioned in the Epstein files. He is likely a co-conspirator in the global pedo trafficking ring. Oh, we're protecting children. Children are precious. Yeah, we know you think children are precious. Perhaps you think they're a little too precious. Okay? You guys are protecting the global pedophile cabal, the entire Epstein class. You have the nerve to lecture us. By the way, I do agree with one thing he's saying here. He's saying trust your instincts. I agree. But your instincts would be screaming to get the fuck away from this guy. Your instincts would be screaming that you should stay away from the MAGA fucking psychopaths. That's what your instincts should be screaming. That danger lurks wherever there's MAGA. Okay? Stupidity lurks wherever there's MAGA. That's what your instincts are telling you. My instincts are the exact opposite of his. Anytime I see a fucking immigrant, I think, oh, this is a friendly person who works really hard. Right? Anytime I see somebody wearing a fucking red MAGA hat, I'm going, run for the motherfucking hills. This guy's trouble. So he's right. Trust your instincts, but the instincts will say the opposite of whatever he's pretending they say.
The predator is a threat to normal, healthy living. This is so much deeper than issues about taxation and regulation, although
Oh, I'm sure, yeah. It's much deeper than that because you don't want to talk about those things because if you did, you would have to acknowledge that you idiots brought the fucking fecal poop bacteria on us. Not bacteria, excuse me, parasite on us. Who wants to talk about regulation when we're currently poisoning half the country with fucking explosive diarrhea? Who wants to talk about regulation when our lack of regulations led to screwworm, which is destroying the entire beef industry? Who wants to talk about regulation when Trump just greenlit glyphosate to give us all fucking cancer? This is so much more important than taxation. It's almost like you don't want to talk about taxation because you just gave the Epstein class all the fucking money and raised taxes on regular working people.
Are incredibly important. It's about normal, healthy, ordered living. And the violent leftists, for these deep-seated reasons, going back to the earliest wisdom taught to us in the Bible about coveting. And I'm not talking about rich versus poor. I'm talking about a much deeper kind of coveting. Coveting people who are morally superior, who are superior in the simple, truthful way they live their lives.
Oh my God, he's right. This is Nazi shit. He's saying, like, Republicans are inherently good, inherently truthful. Leftists and liberals are inherently deformed. That's what he's saying.
People that they look at who are happy and ordered and peaceful and contribute.
Ordered. Notice ordered. Disordered would be bad. Disorder would be liberals and leftists dirty, right? This is one step away from vermin. This is their vermin.
To the communities. That burns an ember in them, and that's how you end up with the horrors we've seen throughout history, where good families are dragged out into the street and executed.
I hate to tell you guys this, but there is going to be a movement in this country of eugenics, but it's not going to come in the way that Stephen Miller wants it to. In fact, we're beginning to see the early parts of it, early stages of it, but it's actually flipped and reversed from what he wants. In other words, eugenic thinking will reemerge in this country, but it will come in the form and the fashion that Republicans are inherently inferior, that conservatives and MAGA are inherently low IQ dipshits who aren't fit to manage an Arby's, never mind run a country. That's how it's going to manifest. And it's going to manifest because people are living through Republican rule right now, and what they're realizing is literally anything is better than this. These motherfuckers have the House, they have the Senate, they have the White House, they have the judicial branch. They have their hands on the lever of power at every level of government. And what's happening? Unemployment's going up, inflation's going up, people can't pay for gas, they can't pay for groceries, their jobs are being taken by AI, everybody's losing their fucking health care, nobody has paid time off, it's a struggle, there's war after war after war, war crime after war crime after war crime, and people are looking around and they're going, what the fuck am I getting out of this? I'm getting nothing. I'm getting to watch the fat pedophile rapist con man president self-deal and be the most corrupt motherfucker we've ever seen anywhere ever of all time. And that's going to be the takeaway, is that this equals republicanism. This equals conservatism. This equals MAGA. And people are going to start to believe in eugenics, but it's not going to come along racial lines. It's not going to come along ethnic lines or religious lines or anything like that. It's going to come in the form of, if you're a conservative, if you're a Republican, if you're MAGA, you're cooked. You're done. We want nothing to do with you in this country. It's a fucking badge of shame to ever have been MAGA. That's how eugenics is going to come to this country. It's going to come along those lines. And you can thank people like Stephen Miller for that. Because your inability to govern, your extreme stupidity, incompetence, and violence has led to the proper and appropriate reaction to who you are and how you act. By the way, final point I want to make about Stephen Miller is understand, guys, they are actively working on these cases now. Like, you all saw they went after the Southern Poverty Law Center. Why? Because they're trying to take down a group that's viewed as left-wing, that's viewed as protecting human rights. That's why they're doing it. They lie and say like, oh, actually, you guys are funding the KKK and neo-Nazis and stuff. No, they had moles in the groups to get facts on them to try to use the law to take down these objective hate groups, right? But no, they didn't. They went after them because they're going after the hate groups. Do you understand that? They went after Act Blue, which is literally just like the payment processor for Democratic candidates. Why are they doing that? Because they want to destroy the infrastructure for Democrats to make it so that Democrats can't win. They can't fundraise. They can't win. They want to take down the power centers of every liberal and leftist group known to man. They're going to go after fucking Code Pink. They're going to go after every anti-war group, every liberal group, every leftist group, every human rights group. This is what they're going to do. And they're going to muck up bullshit charges about money laundering or embezzlement or this or that. And they're going to try to take them all down. Why? To cement Republican rule for a generation. That's what they're doing. This is what NSPM 7 is ushering in. So just understand, it's new McCarthyism. It's a new Red Scare. And this time they're serious. This time they're coming to take us all down. So, you know, it's a goofy speech and he's a ridiculous person, but there's real harm here that's going to unfold. So be fucking prepared for it.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
All right, y'all, so we discussed the other day, J.D. Vance went on Joe Rogan's show, and it was an embarrassment. You can go watch that full video I did, where I break down not only some of the ridiculous parts where they spoke about certain issues, but also I broke down what Rogan didn't ask J.D. Vance about. And that list is very long, and it's all the things that he should have asked him about and prodded him on, but he let him fucking slide. Why? Because he's in the club. He's in the club. Joe Rogan is in the club. He's part of the Epstein class at this point. Okay, he's defending the pedophile, rapist, con man, terrorist president, even at this late date. Okay, and he's allowing his eyeliner-wearing freak boy to go in there and deflect and obfuscate. My favorite part of the podcast was when J.D. Vance goes, oh, the UFO thing, bro, like I was going to look in that, but I've been really busy. But, yeah, the UFO thing, bro, I'm kind of on that. We're literally at the point where J.D. Vance goes on one of the top podcasts in the world, and he goes, UFOs, right? You idiots give a shit about this. Yeah, oh yeah, UFO. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about UFOs. Oh yeah, because that's what everybody was thinking when he came on the podcast. Not, hey, what the fuck, man? Trump is accused in the Epstein files and mentioned over 1 million times. Why are you still working for him? Not, hey, weren't you supposed to be the anti-war people? What the fuck is up with that? Not, hey, what about all the massive corruption and self-dealing? There's like over 30 examples of that. Maybe you should have to answer for that? No, none of that. People are going, oh, I wonder what the vice president has to say about fucking UFOs. It's literally just like, here's some slop, you idiots. You want to take that or not? So anyway, Tim Dillon goes out on his podcast and reacts to J.D. Vance on Rogan, and he's also pretty fucking fed up here. Now, let's be clear. Tim Dillon helped bring us Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. Tim Dillon gave J.D. Vance a hot stone massage on his podcast during the campaign, okay? So I'm not letting this guy skate. I'm sorry, bro. You got to hold that big, fat, juicy L from now until the end of time because you helped bring us this fucking criminal regime, which is now making a mockery of this country and all of us, okay? But having said that, he goes after J.D. Vance here. And look at what it says. Tim Dillon tortured J.D. Vance over cringe Rogan appearance where he played powerless. Okay, that's the theme of what Tim Dillon says here. Let's listen. Here we go.
This is the thing when like J.D. Vance goes on Rogan and goes, well, they have this whole discussion about the Epstein docs, and J.D.'s like, I'll go to my death believing it was a larger conspiracy. It's kind of like these guys are like, well, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? It's like, no, you're the vice president. What are you talking about? J.D. Vance is talking about this like he's a guy at a bar in the town I grew up in on Long Island, where he'd be like, I'll always believe it was a conspiracy. You sure? That guy owns a pool company. He's gonna be like, yeah, what are you gonna do? I'll always believe someone on there. This guy's the vice president of the United States of America, going on the biggest podcast in the world, going, yep, I read all the files. Trump's innocent. Also, I'll always believe there was a greater conspiracy there. I'll always think something was going on. But what am I going to do? I'm the vice president. That's J.D. Vance's character arc right now, is his whole entire thing is just telling people what the vice president can't do. Like, what about the war in Iran? He goes, there's not much I can do. I just kind of hang out and, watch as I'm part of the administration that betrays its voters and does the opposite of everything it said it was going to do. I just kind of hang out and, this Epstein thing, who knows? What are you going to do? It's a lot of what are you going to do energy from the vice president. I'm not saying the vice president's like an all-powerful figure, but it's just hilarious that, like, that's his argument. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Yeah, these Epstein docs, isn't that nuts, Joe? You heard about that? What? You're the vice president of the United States.
J.D. Vance hasn't even released a statement that's like, I think we should make at least a few Epstein pedophile arrests. He could do that. At least it would give the appearance that he gives a shit and he actually wants justice if he just released a statement and said, what was it, 10 co-conspirators that the FBI was looking into? Perhaps we should continue that investigation and arrest at least a few of the co-conspirators, right? Build a case against at least a few of the co-conspirators, right? You would think the vice president, who allegedly cares about this issue so much, he would at least release a statement saying, we know they were interested in 10 co-conspirators. We're going to continue that investigation and arrest at least a couple of them, at least get some of them, at least build some sort of a case. But no, instead of that, Donald Trump is fucking going around arresting Don Lemon and arresting randos in D.C. who touch the reflecting pool water. Okay, he's arresting them, but there's been 0 Epstein pedophile arrests. 0. That's fucking insanity, bro. That is fucking insanity.
They keep trying to play this game where they're like this folksy, kind of like relatable, like, yeah, these fucking elites with they're fucking the kids, they're stealing your money. What? Who? You are doing it.
I'm losing my damn mind, though, because, Tim, we all told you this before the election. Every liberal and leftist in the country was telling you this before the election. When Trump and J.D. Vance go, these fucking warmongers, bro. You see these warmongers, bro? Bro, that's you. That's you, Trump. In your first term, you increased drone strikes over 400%. You tried to coup Venezuela in your first term. You murdered Qasem Soleimani in the middle of what was supposed to be fucking negotiations. You bombed Syria twice. You bombed Somalia. And then he goes, these fucking warmongers, bro. They're going to bring you World War III. I'm going to stop World War III. They're going to get you into a war with Iran, bro. I'm going to stop that war, bro. Oh, what's that? I did the thing and made it worse. And Kamala would have been much better and much more anti-war than me. Yes, that's right. And that's the thing, Tim. We were all trying to tell you this. We were all trying to warn you this. Like, there isn't... understand this, guys. There is no such thing as the populist right. It doesn't exist. There is no such thing as the anti-establishment right or the outsider right or the anti-corruption right. Right-wing politics, by its very nature, is in favor of the establishment. Do you understand that? They will always take money from corporations and billionaires and the Epstein class and the military-industrial complex, and all of the signs were there about Trump and J.D. Vance, that they never meant a word of their anti-establishment, outsider, anti-war shit. They never meant it. They never meant it. And we told you that, and we warned you of that, and you guys fucking laughed at us and mocked us and pretended like Kamala was worse. She's not. She's way better than this. Those 2 fucking American soldiers, including a 19-year-old that just died this week, they'd be alive if Kamala Harris was in office right now. That's a fact. Those fishermen who are getting carpet bombed in the Pacific and the Caribbean, they would be alive right now. Do you understand that? You wouldn't have a fucking scam crypto coin if Kamala Harris was president. She wouldn't have launched her own crypto coin. She wouldn't have pulled a Melania Trump and a Donald Trump. She wouldn't have given $600 million of U.S. tax money to her fucking kids, as Trump did when he gave that contract to Vulcan Earth, which is a company that Don Jr. is invested in. And we warned you about all of it. Jesus Christ.
You're the ones who are doing it. And they're relying on the fact that some of their most ardent supporters, the ones who aren't directly being paid off, are the stupidest people in the world. So that still works on them. They're like, yeah, fucking Hillary.
I love how he's doing his Kyle Kalinske impression. Tim Dillon has now morphed into Kyle Kalinske. He's giving a rant that I gave a year and a half ago. That's what this is. That's what this is.
Hillary Clinton. Fucking Hillary Clinton. The guy, they're in the White House. They have the Congress. They have the Senate. They have the Supreme Court. It is them. It is now them. I don't want to hear about the deep state anymore. You're playing me for a fool. You're playing everyone for a fool. You brought in Kash Patel. You brought in that other guy, Dan Bongino. You threw him out or he left, whatever. You brought in Pam Bondi and then threw her out. I'm sick of hearing about this deep state. All of these people, you have to be one of the stupidest people in the world to fall for this shit at this point. You are peddling the dumbest, most, by the way, I hate to use this word, but cringe. It's literally cringe. You watch this and you go, I feel so disgusted by the fact that they think people are still going to believe this shit.
Listen, man, all I'll say is give him another year or 2, maybe 3, and then finally he'll play that clip of Jeffrey Epstein saying that he was Trump's best friend for a decade. Give him another year or 2 or maybe 3, and maybe he'll bring up the fact that Trump and Epstein shared a girlfriend. Maybe he'll bring up Trump's nipple torture fetish, which is in the Epstein files. Maybe he'll bring up Katie Johnson. Still waiting on you there, Tim. Where's your thing on Katie Johnson? If you're willing to tell the truth like this, and you're willing to say J.D. Vance is a bullshitter and a liar, and he's now helping cover up the Epstein files, and Trump is covering up the Epstein files, and they are the problem, they are the deep state, they are the establishment. If you're willing to talk about that, why would you not also talk about Katie Johnson? Okay, why would you not also talk about Katie Johnson? Is my question. Never mind the other fucking. Or how about my personal favorite? The 2011 email of Jeffrey Epstein saying to somebody that Trump is at his house right now with one of the victims, which would mean there's pictures and videos of Trump doing you-know-what with underage girls, which is exactly what we've been saying. The president is a blackmailed pedophile, ladies and gentlemen. The president is a blackmailed pedophile. You're not going to see that on CNN. You're not going to see that on MS Now. You're not going to see that on any of the mainstream media networks. Clearly, apparently, you're not even going to see it on fucking Tim Dillon's show, even though he's flying close to the sun, but he's just refusing to get all the way there. But the president is a blackmail pedophile, which means nobody should be surprised when he continues to do literally anything and everything that Yahoo wants, because Mossad has a thick file on him that they're willing to dump if he isn't their fucking bitch. Okay? That's where we are. But he's not done yet, because he's going to continue to go off here, and he's going to talk about how J.D. Vance is so soulless that he would still be doing a motherfucking book tour, which, by the way, what he's doing now. That's why he went on Rogan's show nominally. He's doing a book tour to sell a book. And he would do that even if we nuked Iran. He would still be out there with his smug face and his eyeliner and his pudginess, doing his little self-aggrandizing narcissistic shtick. Who, me? Gosh golly, I'm just a regular guy. I'm just an honest folk. That's all I am. He'd still be doing all that shtick. If fucking Trump nuked Iran, he would still be out there trying to put a fucking smiley face on that bitch and tell you, well, actually it's okay, and actually it's kind of reasonable, and actually the Democrats would have been worse, and actually the left is lying about us. This is what he would do. Even if Trump nuked Iran, he'd be covering his fat pedophile ass.
That's 1,000% where it's all going. I don't like where it's going. I've been very honest about not liking where it's going. But they know that's where it's going, and we know that's where it's going. That's why we're trying to do it here, and they're doing it there, and whatever. But they're just watching us take L's. We're just stacking L's. And the only way to get out of this is to Trump start firing nukes. I hope he doesn't do it. But he's a lunatic. So, and when Trump nukes Iran, J.D. Vance will go right on Rogan and go, pfft. I mean, Joe, isn't it crazy? Isn't it crazy that Trump, the president was very clear in the beginning of this, that he didn't want Iran to have a nuclear weapon. And, we got to a point when we had to deliver quite a devastating blow to Iran, and it's unfortunate, lots of people died. I'm a Christian, Joe. I hate that. I hate seeing anyone die, of course. And I was in the Situation Room when we fired the nuclear weapons at them. But, I said a little prayer. I'm a Christian, Joe, of course. I wouldn't want anyone hurt. Of course, we did kill tens of thousands of people instantaneously. And then sometimes I just think to myself, Joe, you ever just think to yourself, isn't it crazy where life takes you? If you had told me I'd be sitting in the Situation Room when we fired nuclear weapons on Iran, I would have told you were nuts. I would have told you were crazy. And I went down, I sat with Usha, we had a nice dinner, and I said to her, I said, isn't this wild? Just look around at our life. And, she silently ate the eggplant. She doesn't, eat meat, of course. She's in that demon religion. All these demons, they don't eat meat. But I said to her, what a crazy day at work. Because it's just, for me, it's another day at work. It's another day at work, Some people go and teach the kids at the school. Some people go and, trade the stocks. But, I went into work today and we vaporized a lot of people, just killed a lot of people. Joe, we killed a lot of people today, and I don't like that. Something I don't like. But, as the vice president, my job is to just kind of sit there while we nuke a country and just kind of provide my opinion. And then we just try to minimize the damage. I say a prayer. I try to provide this president with all the support he needs. But that's where we're going. That's where we're going. For J.D. Vance will be on a nuke tour. He'll be on a nuke tour. No. Trust me. J.D. Vance will be on a PR tour after we nuke Iran, and he'll be sitting there on all the podcasts. You know what I mean? He'll be on Caller Daddy. He'll do everything. And he'll be there trying to justify the use of nuclear weapons, because unfortunately that's the only way to go.
There you go, Tim. That's, hey, that's your boy, too. That's your boy, Joe Rogan. And I know Joe Rogan watches Tim Dillon show all the time, but that's your boy, man. And he sat there and took it. He sat there and took it as J.D. Vance lied to his face and his audience. He has a track record of this, Tim, where he'll let Mark Andreessen, he'll let Mark Zuckerberg, he'll let Elon Musk. It's like every other week he invites on some Epstein-class billionaire prick to lie to the audience, run some scam, get away with it. He had Mark Andreessen making the case for mass surveillance on his show the other day, and he took it perfectly seriously. This is who he is. That Peter Thiel's another one that, Rogan and Tim Dillon hates Peter Thiel, but Rogan likes him, and he's been to his house for dinner and all that stuff. So, but this is your boy, bro. This is what he's putting out there into the ether. He's still ass covering for this terrorist regime. And I wonder if that's ever going to come to a head. I kind of doubt it, because they never cross Daddy Rogan too much. But in a world that made sense, it should come to a head. And Tim Dillon should fucking talk to Rogan behind the scenes and be like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, this is embarrassing. This is embarrassing. And the fact of the matter is, Rogan talks to Donald Trump on the phone. Rogan talks to Elon Musk on the phone. He's part of the club. He's part of the club. And so he's compromised. And everybody at this point knows it.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
So Hunter Biden has broken his silence on his dad's biggest mistake. Interesting. He went on the I've Had It podcast with Jennifer Welch, and he gave us some gems here. So let's start with this one. He talks about what, from his perspective, is his dad's biggest mistake. Let's listen.
The single greatest mistake of my father's administration was the leadership of Merrick Garland.
I completely agree. I write about this in my book, Not Today Fascist.
The reason that we are in the situation that we're in right now can almost, well, by the way, the buck has to stop with my dad. He was the president and he chose him. Now, once he chose him, he played by the, a higher standard than the Marcus Queensberry rules. He played by the Constitution and the tradition that the president will never, particularly since Nixon, involve himself in any decision-making as it relates to anything at the Department of Justice. So I guarantee you there was a division between church and state there. But if Merrick Garland had started a completely 100% legitimate investigation rather than thinking like, let's not fan the flames, like did you not watch what I watched?
Yeah.
Did you not see these people storming the Capitol of the United States of America, beating cops and running congressmen and senators literally out of the building?
Yeah.
You didn't see that? You didn't see a president and know that it was a concerted and planned effort on their part, beginning all the way back from the day before the election when they knew they were going to. I mean, go back and listen.
They wanted to kill Mike Pence.
Go back and listen to Steve Bannon talking to Miles Gow on the day before the election, saying exactly what they were going to do. There's tapes. Mother Jones has these tapes that were like, you got to listen to the tape, where he says, this is what we're going to do. First, we started with the laptop, and we took, I think, his license with the pictures, because they did this whole thing where I was a pedophile in China and all this stuff that they put out there. And the next thing we're going to do is we're just going to say that the election was not legitimate. And we're just going to say it over and over and over again. So we knew that it was a planned conspiracy that had a disparate number of actors all working inside and outside of the White House at all levels of government.
It's a layup.
And he doesn't do anything. He doesn't do anything. The only way that we got to any prosecution of him as it related to January 6th is we had to wait for Congress to go through an entire series of hearings. And it lays it all out then. Right. And we still don't go after him. We don't end up going after him and get Jack Smith until the documents case. And then they bring the documents case in Florida rather than in D.C. I mean, I don't get it. I mean, I absolutely don't get it.
Look, I'll tell you what it was. It's the culture of impunity among presidents and former presidents, right? It's the idea. And look, to be fair, it really was Barack Obama that laid this precedent. He got in office and he said, when talking about potentially prosecuting war criminals from the Bush regime, he said, we look forward, we don't look backwards. So in other words, all the torture, the illegal wars, the war crimes, like, we're just going to go ahead and let that slide. Okay, well then when you did that, now it just becomes, it's not like legal and illegal. It now becomes a matter of opinion. Torture now becomes a matter of opinion. Holding people extrajudicially now becomes a matter of opinion. Guantanamo Bay becomes a matter of opinion. Massacring innocent people in the Middle East now becomes a matter of opinion. And it was because of that, as opposed to being right and wrong, legal and illegal. And it's because of that groundwork was laid. And so when you have Trump commit all these crimes, try to steal the election, do the fake elector slates, literally do like dozens of crimes, and then Biden gets in there, he does the hands off, like, I'm not going to politically interfere in what my Justice Department is doing. And, I think Merrick Garland did the thing that Democrats have done in modern history, which is, okay, yeah, they did some stuff, but we're going to give, since they're a U.S. president, we're going to give them mulligans. They get a bunch of mulligans. Trump gets a bunch of mulligans. And I think the mindset was he's going to silently go into the night. I think that's what it was. They felt like he's done. They felt like after January 6th, with his low-ass approval rating and him being a psycho, now he's not going to try to get back into politics. And, even if he does try to get back into politics, when he does try to get back into politics, he's not going to win. He's going to lose because they felt like they had, destroyed MAGA once and for all. But here's the problem. There is no such thing as a final victory in politics. And if Democrats don't seriously, materially deliver for the people, there could always be a backlash. And so I agree. Look, there are two things you could say that are Biden's biggest failures. One of them, of course, is the genocide in Gaza. He armed that He funded that. He never really cracked down on Netanyahu. He let them get away with whatever the fuck they want to get away with. And the end result of that is now international law is just a matter of opinion. Now the ICC doesn't matter. The ICJ doesn't matter. International law doesn't matter. We're back to law of the jungle and might makes right. So he helped bring us that. Joe Biden helped bring us that. And the other thing is, Hunter's right, this Merrick Garland thing, it's directly because Merrick Garland didn't do his job properly and didn't prosecute Trump properly that the second Trump term could even happen. If it wasn't for Merrick Garland, this shit wouldn't have fucking happened. If he did his job properly, this wouldn't have happened. So literally everything Trump has done, the bombing innocent fishermen in the Caribbean and in the Pacific, wouldn't have happened. The stealing the oil and gold from Venezuela and kidnapping their president wouldn't have fucking happened. The illegal war against Iran wouldn't have fucking happened. The massive amount of corruption and self-dealing, the likes of which we've never seen before, wouldn't have happened. All of this stuff, the high gas prices, the unemployment, none of this would have happened if it wasn't for Merrick Garland. Merrick Garland fucked up doing his job and ruined it for everybody. So I think he's 100% right. And I think it's kind of refreshing that he's actually going against his dad here and saying, like, look, here's where he fucked up. And he even said, like, the buck stops with him. Like, Merrick Garland failed to do his job, but the buck does stop with my dad. Like, you probably shouldn't have picked him, period, because he's a little pussy-ass bitch, if we're being honest. Merrick Garland is a pussy-ass bitch. There he is, breaking his silence on his dad's mistakes. Now let me show you this one. He'll talk about how the biggest problem in America is not the oligarchy. It is a little bit tongue-in-cheek, because Hunter Biden is also against the oligarchy, to be fair. But he says, actually the problem is the closetocracy. Now, what does that mean? He'll explain it here.
I believe that the biggest problem in America is, in Washington, D.C., with the federal government, is it not the oligarchy.
Closet cases.
It's the closetocracy, as I call it. It is. And I'm being totally serious. Everybody knows there is like this closeted gay mafia, largely Republican, that exists in Washington, D.C., and everybody knows every single one of them who's gay. And so it's and what I believe, the only reason that is relevant is because I believe that internal conflict creates so much vitriol inside a person that they take it out on the rest of the world. And they do. And so what they do is their whole lives, they've been closeted. And so you have this like black ball inside yourself, this like blackened heart by the fact that you can't be who you want to be. And so you take it out on everybody else. And these men, largely men, have done exactly that. And everybody knows who they are. Everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, look, that's not wrong. I mean, I think to say the oligarchy is not the biggest problem, like I said, I think that's kind of tongue in cheek. I think he's sort of joking about that a little bit. I mean, Biden famously on his way out gave a speech kind of echoing Dwight Eisenhower, with Eisenhower talking about the military industrial complex. And Biden was like, look, it's the fucking oligarchy. Okay. And he's saying it's the closetocracy. And look, to be fair, it's true that all of these Republican closet cases, they're the fucking worst. These are the same people that take away reproductive rights from women. These are the same people that kicked 18 million people off Medicaid. These are the same people that kicked millions of people off the SNAP program, the food stamp program. These are the same people that are the biggest warmongers in all of D.C. Yes, Lindsey Graham is a great example of this. The guy is the most obvious closet case in the world, and he literally never met a war he didn't like. So there is something to be said about, being raised in a conservative religious environment, but you have those feelings, and so you feel shame over that, and you repress it, and then, all these things warp who you are, and it comes out in very weird ways. And oftentimes, these are people who are performatively anti-gay and anti-trans. It's because they are struggling with their own identity and with their own issues. So you have that, and then you marry that together with every policy preference they have is just to make everybody's life worse off. They want to cut taxes for the billionaires while raising your taxes. They want to cut the social safety net programs. They want to wage more wars. I mean, it is astonishing. It is astonishing how evil these people are. And so he's got a point here as well. All right, but then we also have this one. Ready? Here he talks about Zohran Mamdani, and this is where, look, I think the conclusion is sort of inescapable, that Hunter is to the left of his dad. Here we go.
They look at people like Zohran Mamdani, and they go, oh my God, it's the end of the Democratic Party. I look at Zohran Mamdani, and I go, there's a leader.
I completely agree.
Every single thing that they talked about, it was, people are going to flee the city and they're going to go crazy. And, it's the worst thing that could ever happen. And the Democratic Party is going to be tagged with, this Muslim, blah, 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 blah. And here he is. And he made promises. And you know what he did? He kept them.
Yeah.
He kept them. Mm-hmm. He's lowering rent. He's building co-op grocery stores. He's doing something about, kindergarten, pre-kindergarten.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, that's all. That's what people will care about. They care about that.
He's not a dick. He doesn't throw anybody
really,
under.
Really good.
He's really, really, really good.
He's to the left of his dad, I think, for sure. And it's funny, Bernie famously said that really, like, one of the only senators who treated him like an equal when he was in D.C., when he was in the Senate, is Joe Biden. That Joe Biden was one of the only, like, nice guys. Now, that's not to excuse any of the, arming and funding a genocide sort of wipes away whatever sort of personal charm you may have. But I think the point stands that Hunter appears to be significantly to the left of his dad. So, to his point, yes, Zohran cracked down on shitty landlords, okay? He got Hochul on board for universal child care. He was able to successfully freeze the rent. They filled a record number of potholes. He ordered a deep cleaning of the subway. He's taxing the rich. Zohran is the first example in a very long time of executive leadership where he says, we're going to do X, Y, and Z, and then they were able to successfully do X, Y, and Z. And that shit is fucking rare. It is rare. It reminds people that politics doesn't have to be endlessly frustrating. It doesn't have to be a law of nature that you elect somebody, they get in there, and then their approval rating immediately drops 20 points because they fucking stab you in the back 14 times over. No, you could actually elect somebody who wants to make things better, and then they get in there and they do make things better, even if he only delivers on, let's say, for argument's sake, 35 to 40% of his agenda. That is 35 to 40% more than anybody fucking else, right? So he's like, that matters to people. That matters to people. And he's one of the few politicians who he took office and then his approval rating went up. It went up. Number one most liked politician in the country is Obama. Right behind him is Bernie and Zohran. And there is a reason for that, ladies and gentlemen. There is a reason for that. It turns out when people get a taste of democratic socialism, they go, holy fucking shit, this is awesome. And then finally, I guess he talks here about Trump Jr. and Eric Trump. Now let's remember, if you're Hunter, for the past however many years of your life, it's been filled with Republicans whipping up a hate mob against you, them lying about you in the media, them showing your dick pics endlessly, which honestly, low-key is sort of a flex because now everybody knows Hunter's got a big swangin' thing, right? So, but you've been harassed nonstop by these people. They show you at your worst moments. He's an addict. He's open about that fact. He smokes crack and shit like that. Like, he's open about all that. But there's been this mass harassment campaign against him. Then on top of that, there's been the lies. And remember, Hunter just won a lawsuit. He won millions of dollars off some asshole who lied about a corruption scandal involving him. Hunter sued. Now he won millions of dollars because the corruption scandal was a total fucking lie. The most corrupt thing Hunter's ever done is sell paintings for 17 cents in a Pop-Tart. That's it. Literally. All the other stuff was made up, and he proved it. They proved it. So he's sitting there. He's a public enemy number one for years. Meanwhile, he's looking at Uday and Kusei Trump, Don Jr. and Eric, and these fucking losers, every other day, they got a new corruption scandal where they're robbing taxpayers blind. They're doing the most insane shit you've ever seen. And so if I'm him, I'm sitting there and I'm bubbling with rage, right? And so here he talks a little bit about them. Listen to what he says.
So let me ask you this. If Don and Eric called right now on your cell phone and said, we want to meet you in the White House lawn.
Yeah.
You're going to fight me first, and then you're going to fight the other one. Are you going?
Neutral territory. I go bring him out to Lafayette Park. I'll do it there. Or better even, let's go to Lincoln Park where I used to buy crack. We'll do it there. It's only 2 more blocks away.
He said, let's go to Lincoln Park where I used to buy crack. Oh, no.
If they can make the walk. Oh, my God. Just the opportunity to punch either one of them in the face. Of course, it would be very demeaning for the public discourse. I get it. I'm 56. I'm out of shape. I swear to God, if they offered me a cage match, I would take it in a second because you know what? I would die before I tapped out.
You know what's so funny? Basically, Biden's entire political career, they all, like all of the Democratic staffers and advisors around him, they all wanted Hunter to shut the fuck up and go in the background. Shut the fuck up, go in the background. Shut the fuck up, don't make noise. Shut the fuck up, don't embarrass your father, don't embarrass your family. Like, you're a liability, you're this, you're that, you're this, you're that. Then you see, like, when you listen to him talk, you realize how little Democratic staffers know. Democratic strategists and Democratic staffers are the dumbest fucking people. They've been professionally wrong about absolutely everything because this man is a weapon. This is somebody you'd want out there making the case for you, giving interviews. He's authentic, he's raw, he's real, he's honest, he's likable, right? He's had a checkered past, but that only makes him more endearing once you hear this motherfucker talk. You go, oh, he's actually like a real-ass dude. So never listen to Democratic staffers, never listen to Democratic strategists. They're the dumbest people in the world. They've been professionally wrong about fucking everything. And what Democratic politics needs is a lot more of a Hunter vibe. You need a lot more of that authentic vibe, that real vibe. Because it's a lot harder for people to go after you when your dirty laundry is already all out there and you fucking acknowledge that shit. It's the classic Eminem trick from 8 Mile. You know, you go down the list of like, yeah, here's all the things that are true about me. So what? Now let me go after you, you fucking bitch. And that's what he does. And that's what he does. So you simply love to see it. Hunter really laying it down here, and it's awesome.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
All right, y'all. So Zohran Mamdani did an interview with the New York Times, and he basically stuns this reporter speechless at multiple points. So first, let's start with this. He sort of prodded over his stuff he said about Israel, stuff he said about Netanyahu. He sort of said publicly in the past that, look, I'll arrest Netanyahu if he comes to New York City, right? And then now that sort of comes up again because Netanyahu's going to try to come here for some UN thing. And this is interesting. Let's watch and we'll break it down.
Last question on this topic. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is perhaps planning to visit New York for the UN General Assembly. You pledged during your campaign and after you won to order his arrest to comply with the International Criminal Court warrant. What will happen if he comes in September?
Look, I believe that Prime Minister Netanyahu belongs in The Hague. He's a war criminal who has been charged by the International Criminal Court. And what you will find is that is an opinion that is held by many purely because of what his actions have wrought over these last many years. I've also said that I will follow the laws that we have here in New York City because I believe that there's an importance in following the law as a leader who presides over our city, and that's something that I plan to do.
Meaning? I'm sorry, I don't understand what that means.
Meaning that whatever the law allows me to do in New York City, that's what we will do, but we won't be writing our own laws to that end.
What does the law allow you to do?
That's an active conversation with our legal department in seeing what the prospects are we have here in our municipality. However, what we've seen at the national level is a desire sometimes to write your own laws, to go outside of the bounds of legality. That's not something we have an interest in.
So it sounds like he's trying to get them to arrest Netanyahu, but obviously he's going to come up against some resistance and doesn't know what he's allowed to do, right? Because Netanyahu's violating international law, but how does that exactly jive with like is he violating New York law per se? And what will the feds do when he does that? How will Donald Trump react? Will he like cut off all the federal money that's by law mandated to go to New York City? There's like all these different aspects, but it sounds like he's low key trying to say like, hey, let's try to arrest this motherfucker.
I mean, normally when people come to a UN General Assembly, they're granted a sort of amnesty because it is the seat of the United Nations. Is that what you're thinking that you'll honor, or you're actively looking to see if you can actually arrest him?
I think we are looking at all of our legal obligations, and one of them is with regards to the United Nations. But the other part of this is we're not talking about a personal assessment of Benjamin Netanyahu. We're talking about the International Criminal Court and the fact that they have a warrant out for this prime minister's arrest. And I think it's important to talk about the weight that that has as a charge, and also that as the mayor of New York City, I'll be following the laws of New York City.
I mean, it would be a goated thing to do, but I highly doubt he's going to be able to pull it off. I don't think he's going to be able to pull it off. And I don't think it's because of lack of him wanting to do it. I think that he'll probably, game it out and calculate it and realize that they're going to immediately find a way. Like if he were to do it, it would just be a stunt because they would basically release him right away anyway. But it would still be so fucking badass if you could actually arrest this fucking son of a bitch, this absolute war criminal, this depraved. I mean, he is like modern day Hitler. Let's be serious. Trump and Netanyahu are like modern day Adolf Hitler. It would be so goated if he were to do that. Even if at the end of the day he does end up getting out, as he almost certainly would, like just to send a fucking message to this prick. Like, bro, history's watching, and at some point this shit is going to fucking catch up with you. But I don't know. We'll see what ends up happening. But damn, that's amazing that we're even having this conversation right now. He's certainly the only mayor in the country. that would really like fucking, you know, even engage in this conversation. So now we have Zohran basically talking about how, why the fuck are we wasting all this money blowing up innocent little kids overseas? We could use this money here.
Very different hope and vision for the place they call home and also the country that they've helped to build. And it's hard to explain to a New Yorker why their needs are not even being discussed, and yet we have billions of dollars to kill civilians halfway across the world. I mean, earlier we were talking about the World Cup, and, you know, we'll be watching the games here, and then you'll look to the news and you'll find that even someone who had gone to Gaza on a relief mission to set up watch parties was then killed by the Israeli military.
I literally just covered this the other day. An Egyptian man who made it so that kids in Gaza could watch the World Cup. They killed that guy on purpose. Israel murdered that guy on purpose because he dared to try to bring a little bit of joy into Gaza.
Even someone who had gone to Gaza on a relief mission to set up watch parties was then killed by the Israeli military. There is no respite from a genocide, no matter even in a moment of joy for the entire world.
Incredible. The New York Times doesn't know how to deal with a guy like Zohran. They have no idea. Here he talks about how what the Democratic Party can be moving forward.
I think it can become the party of human rights for all people, and that must also include Palestinians. I think people are tired of exceptions being drawn. And we know that in politics, the more often you draw an exception, the more likely you are to draw another one. And people want consistency. They want to know that when they speak to you, they don't have to call you the next day to see if the wind is blowing differently, how you're going to answer them, but that they can trust you that this is something that you in fact do believe in.
All right, more. Here he talks about all the fear-mongering around democratic socialism and what it actually means. And when the New York Times reporter follows up, he handles it beautifully.
For all of the fear-mongering around democratic socialism, the best response is to show what it actually means. What we've shown over the last 6 months is exactly that. We've shown that a city with a democratic socialist vision is one that paves more than 170,000 potholes, 50,000 more than prior administration by this point. It's a city that has delivered the lowest recorded number of shootings, shooting victims, and murders in New York City's history, is on a pathway to universal childcare, saving thousands of parents more than $20,000 a year. And it's a city that is doing all of these things while fighting for the people who are often left behind, workers who we've secured more than $10 million for, tenants more than $64 million. These are all indicators of what is so scary to a right wing that has built its entire power and framework on the idea of debating who should be left behind.
Do you see yourself as a Democrat or a democratic socialist? Because you said our party, and obviously you ran as a Democrat.
I am both. I'm a Democrat and I'm a democratic socialist. And I think that so much of what makes me proud to be a Democrat is looking at what our party used to stand for. The four freedoms, you think about FDR, you think about the New Deal, at the core of what our party's identity is. And yet it feels like to experience it, you have to read about it. You can't see it around you anymore. That isn't something that I'm willing to accept. And I know that many feel similarly.
He is stunting on them hoes. God damn. Nah, New York Times didn't know what they were getting themselves into when they had this interview, bro. They had no fucking idea what they were getting themselves into. This guy knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. You're not going to stump him. He's so fucking good at this. So you simply love to see it. Go watch that full interview if you haven't yet. And look, he's the roadmap, right? I saw some fear-mongering post the other day from that Sarah Longwell woman who wants Democrats to be more right-wing and more centrist. And, you know, she made it seem like, well, that's why the Democratic Party brand is not good, even though Trump's brand is so bad, is because now we have too much DSA stuff going on in the party. And it's like, you have it exactly backwards. The problem is we don't have enough DSA stuff going on. We need more democratic socialist stuff going on. And what's my evidence for that? The most popular politician is the retired Obama, right? And then right behind him, it's Bernie Sanders and Zohran Mamdani. Zohran is one of the only politicians who got in office and his approval rating went up, because he immediately started delivering on his promises. If every Democratic politician embraced the policies of Zohran and governed like Zohran and did legislation like Zohran, then the Democratic Party brand would be 30 points higher like that. So they get it exactly backwards as per usual.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
So Tucker Carlson is asked how the Republicans are going to do in the midterms, and he absolutely panics and tells the truth here and lets everybody know they are going to get absolutely obliterated, assuming it's a free and fair election. Let's watch, and then wait until you see what he has to say about the Democrats. This is surprising. Here we go.
I just wanted to avoid this war because I knew that once we got into this, we wouldn't get out until we were gravely diminished. Gravely diminished. I don't think that's good for us or for the world.
What do you think it's going to do to the Republicans in the midterms?
I mean, they're going to be spanked. Yeah, they're going to be punished for it, of course. But the question is, does that make the country better? No, I mean, not really.
It absolutely would make the country better if Republicans got destroyed. 100%, without a doubt, not even close. It would absolutely make the country better if it was an historic landslide.
I don't see any political leader right now speaking for the majority of Americans.
Zohran Mamdani, Bernie Sanders, the left flank Democrats, people like Malakiros, for example, all these left wing Democrats, these DSA Democrats who are winning.
I mean, the American economy is so lopsided at the moment that younger people are legit struggling, at least by American standards. And I don't see any political leaders really thinking about how to fix that.
Oh, come on. Look at this income and wealth inequality. This is kind of crazy. Somebody should do something about this. Literally the entire left flank of the Democratic Party, the DSA type candidates. This is what we talk about all the motherfucking time. Jeez, he's like, wow, why is nobody talking about income and wealth inequality? They are. And these are the exact people who you shit on all the time. AOC, who you shit on all the time, is talking about it. Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib are talking about it. Okay? Spare me.
Or moving their priorities from, a whole suite of different foreign conflicts back to the United States and spending the time thinking about how do I elevate my people? How do I help the people who put me here?
So
I just don't see that mindset.
It's your third party idea.
It's such an insane thing to say when, this is the whole point of the left wing. The whole point is, let's stop the wars and reinvest here at home, and let's actually mean it. But this is what it's like. It's so insane. So many on the right just cannot countenance the idea that, hey, what if I've just been wrong all along and the left is correct about stuff? Just admit it. Just hold the L, acknowledge it, and move forward. It's okay. Start making arguments for left-wing ideas. If Tucker could just stop fucking viciously hating immigrants, he could actually open his eyes to the fact that the left is the way to go.
Idea, a real one. You floated it. You've said you want to help build one.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
Well, I just want to be clear. I'm not running for any office ever. Okay. I'm not being coy or pretending, and then I'm going to announce for, I'm not announcing for president. I'm running for president. Ugh. That's a nightmare. And I'm not doing that. But I just want to help. I want the promise of democracy to be real. That you vote for someone and that person makes a good faith effort to represent your interests. It's not complicated. Self-government is not that complicated. It's disappearing. But there are a lot of very ominous trends in the United States domestically that are just completely being ignored. And I would like someone to address them. And after Trump's performance over the past year, it's hard to believe that he's the guy who's going to reform. I mean, he is closely allied with the leaders of both parties.
So he's flirting with a third-party run here, which, of course, would end in absolute disaster and humiliatingly so. So I don't know if he'll continue down that path. But let's continue here. Here he talks about how the Republicans are actually furious at him. Here we go.
The two of you.
No, I haven't. I mean, I haven't been to Washington. I'd love to go see him. I can't. I can't. Trump's all mad at me. They're all mad at me.
I think he's talking about J.D. Vance.
Calling me an anti-Semite or what. It's just so ludicrous. Look, I think at this point, it wouldn't be good for me to contact anybody. I'm seen as disloyal. First of all, loyalty goes two ways. Second, the loyalty that matters is the loyalty of our leaders to the country they represent. Okay. And they're disloyal. Trump has been disloyal to the United States, totally disloyal to the United States. He cheated on the United States with a foreign power. So I'm not the one who's been disloyal.
Damn. Okay. Trump has been disloyal to the U.S. Now, here's my favorite part. There's a brief moment of acknowledgement here that well, actually, yeah, I guess the Democrats have been right. Here we go.
I'm so thankful. We were saved by the Democrats.
We were saved by the Democrats, says Tucker Carlson.
Don't often say that, but it's true in this case. 10 years from now, no member of Congress is going to vote to appropriate money to the IDF because by that point, we'll know exactly what they did in Gaza. So what they're trying to do is codify this and take that decision from a public democratic forum, the Congress, the lawmaking body, and move it to the Pentagon Procurement Office, which is totally opaque, right? So that's why Bibi's like, oh, really, we think we should get off U.S. military aid. No, you're trying to make it permanent in a way people won't perceive. So Ro Khanna, for example, we don't agree on much, but we strongly agree on this. Well, I'm still an outlier on the right, and you guys are too. But on the left, I know from going through airports 2 days ago, this is a huge issue on the left, and God bless them for making it that.
Talking about how the left is actually standing up and saying, fuck AIPAC, let's break up with Israel, no more money, no more weapons.
Against the wishes of their leaders, by the way. Chuck Schumer doesn't want to talk about this, but a lot of Democratic voters do. And I just think representatives watching those three races in New York City, those primaries where Mamdani got behind three Democratic socialists and they all beat incumbents. Wow, how'd that happen? Israel. That's how it happened.
He says we were saved by the Democrats. And God bless the Democrats for saving us. Because it was the Democrats that stood up and said, no, let's not merge the U.S. military with the Israeli military. What the fuck is this? This bill is literal treason. Okay? But beware, because even though he says this, it's a moment of acknowledging the basic reality, something he avoids like the plague every other time he talks about this, right? Within the same interview of the previous clip I showed you, listen to what he says here, talking about J.D. Vance. Here we go.
The Republican Party, the fact that you've left it, does that mean you've given up on J.D. Vance leading the Republican Party, being the next presidential candidate, and it being a different Republican Party to what you see now?
Well, I think if J.D. Vance were president, of course he would not be at a war with Iran. It's impossible for me to imagine J.D. Vance standing up and saying we need to have 2 wars to defeat a phantom nuclear program. It's like too insane. You know, I think he has too much self-respect to say something like that. I don't think he believes it. I think J.D. Vance would have led the Republican Party into closer alignment with its own voters. But he was not the president. He's the vice president, and he doesn't have the authority.
Yeah, but he could be the next presidential candidate.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, I wish he had been elected president in 2024, but that didn't happen. I love JD. I've never been shy about that. I've taken a lot of abuse for saying that. I probably haven't helped him at all by saying that. I don't agree with him on everything, of course, but I think he's an honest, very smart, decent person that puts him above almost all politicians I've ever met. And so I'm on some basic level rooting for him.
So here's the dirty trick that's being played. The dirty trick is Tucker goes out there and pretends like he's all pro-Palestine and anti-genocide and anti-war and all this stuff, and he's against this Iran war. And what he's going to do is try to take that energy, to the extent it exists among young right-wingers, take that energy, and instead of letting that energy go where it belongs, which is to the left, what he's going to do is redirect it back into supporting J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance, who he's giving credit to here, allegedly argued for going in bigger and harder at the beginning of this illegal war against Iran. And he was just on Joe Rogan's show the other day defending Trump forthrightly as Trump was bombing a children's hospital, as we did 7 hours straight of bombing of civilian targets in Iran. He goes on Rogan and goes, well, we're not just going to bomb and bomb some more. That's exactly what you're fucking doing. And your job is to go out there and defend that, you little bitch. And here's Tucker going, oh, I love JD, and JD's great, and oh, I wish JD was the president. All the evidence right now is that he's the same as every other fucking Republican, just like Donald Trump was, and you were warned. I warned you, every liberal, every leftist warned you. He's just like every other Republican. If anything, he's worse than them, and he's a bigger warmonger than they are. But you all brushed that aside and said, no, he's anti-war. Now you're going to try to dupe the public again into supporting J.D. Vance. Okay? So as Adam Johnson says, Tucker's faux anti-war shtick exists for one reason and one reason only: to sell J.D. Vance as an anti-war candidate, just as Tucker sold Trump as anti-war in 2016, 2020, and 2024. Painting Vance as a passive bystander here is just the chud version of they're tirelessly working for a ceasefire. Spare me, Tucker. I don't want to fucking hear it. If you're going to redirect it all, oh, I'm anti-Republican now. I've left the Republicans. And that's why I'd support J.D. Vance in 2028. Sick joke, bro. We all see through it. All right, y'all. That's the show, man. I love y'all very much. You guys know the drill. Subscribe to the channel. Click that bell icon. Support the show on Patreon because this is real independent media. You know, as you all know, never talked to an advertiser, never done an ad read, so your $1 a month or $2 a month goes very far. Thank you, everybody who tips with that thanks button on YouTube. Sign up for Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack as well. That link is below, and I'll see you guys tonight over on Corin's World. Go sub to his channel, and I'll see you there. Peace.
Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.